ヒップホップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？グミグミグミグミグミグミグミヒップホップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？ヒップホップの神といえば誰？シンガーでビッグなのは誰？エンタメの大黒柱は誰？ワールドカップに出てくるのは誰？グミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグミグ
and welcome to Skeptical Robot. I am Luigi Greenberg, and welcome to this special pop up episode. With me, as always, is my co host, Mr. Corndiff. Hello, Mr. Corndiff. How are you? Mr. Corndiff, I believe you are muted.
Son of a fucking. Hold on. Reintroduce me. We're doing this in the top.
Okay, hold on. And with me, as always, is my co host, Mr. Corndiff.
Fuck! I can't get the energy back. I'm here, but I can't get that start back. I'm great, man. How are you? I'm a pop up episode. This is the first one, right?
Yeah, it is. We have a special guest tonight, and we don't have. He doesn't stay in the same place for very long, and this was one of our few opportunities where we were going to be able to have him on the show.
You're saying he's on the run?
He is on the run. He is a very prolific criminal. And we wanted to make sure that we had a chance to have him on. And so I thought, let's just see what happens when we do a show on a Wednesday night. Before we get to him, let's go ahead and bring out Producer Gummi. Hello, Mr. Gummi. How are you?
What up, everybody? I just got to say that video was awesome. Can we call that Thoughtpocalypse? Because that's all I see.
I might need to make that like a normal rotation for the show.
Seriously, yo.
That was pretty great. Well, let's go ahead and bring out our special guest. And like we do here, before we bring out our guests, we like to do a little something special for them. So, please welcome American Cupcake.
Yeah. Big rig rolling, call him the Cupcake King. Cap stack high, stacks packed like a bling ring. Pocket protector, but the vibe ain't nerdy. Diesel dreams, his life a little dirty. American Cupcake, highways Einstein, big belly bouncing, curves in the skyline, truck stop genius, snack on stash, rolling down a blacktop, all a sweet cat. Got a sweet beat, buzzing, dropping trivia bombs. Knows every diner from here to the Bronx. Belly full of stories, laugh like a quake. Steering wheel philosopher, American Cupcake. Got a sweet beat, buzzing, dropping trivia bombs. Knows every diner from here to the Bronx. Belly full of stories, laugh like a quake. Steering wheel philosopher, American Cupcake. Got a sweet beat, buzzing, dropping trivia bombs. Knows every diner from here to the Bronx.
Hello, Mr. Cupcake.
I love that. That was awesome.
Hey, always got to let the crowd know that is all from the mind of this little purple cat, Gummi Chainsaw. People in the chat, please show Gummi some love. He is a mad genius. He's amazing at what he does.
Yes, he is. He is. He's done a lot of work for me.
Hey, thanks so much for being here, pal. I appreciate you being here. And like I said earlier, wanted to make sure that we were able to, utilize your time, make sure that we got you on the show. We've wanted you on the show for a while. Glad that we finally got you. We have a doozy tonight. This is a topic that I have been wanting to get to for a while. And to be perfectly honest, wasn't really sure who to bring on. And then when you talked about doing the show, I thought, man, I think this guy is the perfect one for this topic. And I just think you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be fun, but it's going to get weird.
I'm actually all kinds of in. Let's do this.
You did what? I'm sorry?
I said I'm all kinds of in. Let's do this.
All right. Awesome. Let me ask you, have you heard of this guy, Jack Idema?
I have not.
Okay. That's fantastic. Let me ask you guys, Corndiff, have you heard of this guy, Jack Idema?
I have not.
Okay. How about you, Gummi?
Yes, because you sent me a doc
that's
like
true.
a month ago. So
That is
but I only
true.
watched half of it, so I watched it. I was like, shit, I'd rather I don't want to spoil it for myself.
Yeah, it's a weird one, and I'm glad because yeah, man, this is an unbelievable story about a con man who did some crazy things, and the victim, there's of course a lot of victims in his wake, but the worst of his victims were the US government, the US military, and then the governments and military of other countries.
Wow.
It is an insane story, and this guy was pretty much insane as well. Um, I don't even know really what other introduction to give it. I guess we should probably just jump into it.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. So let's get this going. Let me see. I'm always trying to do it this way. I know there's probably a more professional way to get this done, but here we go. Let's get this rolling. Jack. Can everybody hear it okay?
Last Wednesday, a court in Afghanistan convicted 3 Americans of torturing Afghans in an illegal private prison. The alleged ringleader of the operation is a former Green Beret named Jonathan Idema, his nickname Jack.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to leave that in here because everything we're going to be watching is coming from a documentary that was released on YouTube from this channel, and I want to give him credit. It is OKI's Weird Stories is the name of the channel, and the name of this documentary is called The King of Stolen Valor.
Oh, wow.
And that title is just not good enough for this story you're about to hear. And I think American Cupcake, that the purpose of the show, or the format of the show, is we are all about exposing frauds and talking about con men, grifters, the paranormal, and this guy covers every base.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you want to learn more about this, it is OKI's Weird Stories is the name of the channel. But that was the introduction. Now, the way that I sold this to Gummi when I told him about it, when I was like, I'm thinking about doing an episode for this, I said, tell me that you can turn this off after the first 3 minutes. So let's hear this first 3 minutes, and you guys tell me what you think.
Before anything,
Meet
sorry.
Jack. This
Go ahead.
I just like my editing mind. Like when they say, three people in Afghanistan, I would have like faded to black with like the gang goes to Afghanistan with like the Always Sunny music. That's how I would have started the video.
That would have been good. And it's not that far off. You're going to see.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. This is the introduction to Jack Idema. And I'm going to stop it after a couple of minutes when you just hear the summary of this story.
This is Jack in Afghanistan holding an AK-47 and riding on the back of a horse. Here he is on the night of his wedding, flanked by 2 security guards with his bride in his lap. His wedding took place at his Arabian-style house in Mexico, which was inexplicably located right next to a traditional-style Japanese home. To say that Jonathan Keith Idema, aka Jack, was a bizarre eccentric would be an understatement. Over the course of this tale, you'll come to understand exactly what I mean. But first, let's go back to Jack riding on a horse in Afghanistan. This footage was taken in the early 2000s, only a few years into the war in Afghanistan. Jack was not there as an active duty soldier. He was not a private military contractor. Instead, he was a 45-year-old ex-con that entered Afghanistan after 9/11 with the goal of collecting the $25 million reward on Osama bin Laden's head. The fact that he was a civilian did nothing to stop him from traveling to a war-torn country and making a chaotic situation even more screwy.
Okay. So tell me what you're thinking so far. We've heard 2 minutes of this. I'm sorry, 1 minute and 35 seconds of this story. A civilian went to Afghanistan, a very prolific criminal, went to Afghanistan and with the effort, with the intention of collecting the $25 million bounty on Osama bin Laden's head, and began to run a U.S. Army platoon.
I think you oversold that 3 minutes. You'd be good. Say 2. You know, yeah, 3 minutes is way too much. No, I'm in. I'm all in a minute and a half.
Yep. That's how I sold this to Gummi. I was like, tell me you could turn this off after hearing the first 3 minutes. And I stand by it. So let's get into it. And I'm telling you folks.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just surprised that you could have got a civilian flight over there at the time.
Dude, that's going to be the last thing you're thinking about when you hear what else this guy did. And I'm telling you, it's going to go to some bizarre places. This is an unbelievable story. All right, here we go.
Zombie's got his RPG.
Get there! That guy, what's he? Stop that car! No, but put your fucking hands up! I'll blow your fucking brains out!
In Afghanistan, Jack managed to trick the U.S. government, Afghan officials, and the media into believing that he was an active duty special
That is him on Kudlow and Kramer.
forces operative working on behalf of the Pentagon.
Kill as many Taliban and Al-Qaeda as you can and try to take Kabul in 6 months. Well, in 62 days, Kabul was free.
I want to press how insane this situation was. Jack just rolled into a war-torn country pretending to be an active-duty Green Beret, and did it so well that NATO coalition forces helped him apprehend suspected terrorists in 3 different raids.
Hello, guys. Hello.
Stop it! No way!
Do I have your attention?
Yeah, we're in. We're all in. All my chips on the table.
If someone were to pitch this as an idea for a movie, it would be unbelievable. And again,
it would have to have some fantastic actor as the lead actor, as a super duper action story. Because as a normal everyday schlub actor, this would never get bought.
And now I want to press. We're at 2 minutes. Okay.
Hands up! Hands up! Now! Larry, Charlie, take the other room! Down! Hands up!
Eventually, things went way too far after Jack created a fake paramilitary group called Task Force Saber 7, rented a property which he turned into a private prison, and started torturing Afghans who he suspected to be terrorists.
All right.
Call of Duty clan. Oh my God.
Now we're at 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
This last 30 seconds has to be he shits gold bricks because everything else.
I don't know how else to describe this. Hamhead, thank you for the $10. This dude fucking rules. Why are we hating on him? You're gonna see why we're hating on him. Just an amazing. Again, we're just giving the overview of the story right now. I want to make that clear. We haven't even gotten to the story yet. But how insane is this? Stewie Felt celebrating 2 months of membership. Thank you so much, Stewie Felt. Now, Hamhead, we actually have something specifically for you that Gummi made, and I forgot to play it last episode. Gummi, this is for, or I'm sorry, Mr. Hamhead, this is for you. I don't expect everyone to laugh at that, but I expect Hamhead to laugh at it, and he paid for it, damn it.
Yeah, I was totally playing to a crowd of 1 for that.
Thank you, Hamhead. Hope you like it. All right. So now let's hear the last 30 minutes or the last 30 seconds of the overview of this story. Shit. Stewie Felt, thank you for the $10. The last 20 years have been a golden era for mercenaries and fake soldiers because of all the chaos in the region, not since the drug wars in the 80s. Here's what's great. Here's what's amazing, Stewie Felt. Had you told me that, I wouldn't have believed you until I heard this story. What this guy was able to accomplish with nothing more than lies and no evidence, no proof to back up anything he was doing is astounding. And on top of that, if you look for stories about this guy, you'll find them. But what's kind of crazy is that they're not always at the top of like the Google searches. I seriously think the government was so embarrassed by what this guy did that they tried to bury some of these stories, because you'll see why. You will see why. And I mean, it's unbelievable what this fucking guy did. Hamid, thank you for the $20. Loved it. I'm glad. Thank you, Gummi. Gummi did that. Gummi is awesome. Show him some love. And yes, we knew exactly who our audience was when we decided to load that up. Thank you for being here, sir. All right, here we go. 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Jack and the rest of Task Force Saber 7 were eventually arrested and charged in Afghan courts. But before I get to that, I want to get down to the essence of who Jack Idema was. This was the movie that changed everything for Jack. The Green Berets, co-directed by and starring John Wayne. Now, this movie was pretty controversial when it came out, since it clashed with growing anti-war sentiments at the time by unabashedly celebrating the United States' involvement in the Vietnam War. Protests were held against the movie. The late film critic Roger Ebert called it offensive propaganda, and watching it made a 12-year-old Jack Idema decide to become a Green Beret. Jack enlisted in the Army on February 25th, 1975, when he was 18 years old. Although he achieved his dream of becoming a Green Beret, his military career was turbulent and short-lived. During Phase 1 of his Special Forces qualification course, he was caught stealing. His commanding officer wrote that he had an irrational tendency towards violence after he attacked another officer.
Okay, so let's just talk about this a little bit here. He was in the military.
Yeah, so he was in the Army. Yeah, okay.
He was in the military. At this point, though, we're just talking about a little bit of an overview of what he did, but supposedly had an irrational tendency toward violence. Apparently attacked a commanding officer. I hear that's not very good in the military.
Frowned upon.
It's definitely frowned upon.
Yes. But here we go.
In an evaluation
Can I ask
report,
a quick question?
Yes.
What is it about John Wayne? You got one guy claiming to be his nephew, became an HIV-ridden boxer. You got a guy who's now starting up Timu Blackwater.
That's funny. Yeah. I guess your con artists really gravitate toward John Wayne.
Yeah.
But we're going to see another link here a little bit later. You'll see. That's interesting. I don't know.
Captain described him as, quote, without a doubt, the most unmotivated, unprofessional, immature enlisted man that I have ever known. Jack's stint in the Army lasted 3 years, and in the end, he was honorably discharged and banned from ever re-enlisting.
But here's the thing: when we talk about him being in the Army, banned, he is not allowed back. But they give him an honorable discharge.
He's honorary discharge.
But when we talk a little bit later about what he does for the government, he does not represent any actual branch of the military because he is not allowed back. And he is working as a civilian, despite everything he says. You'll see.
Luigi,
Although Jack would later...
What's that?
He's an army of one.
Yes. Yeah.
claimed that he had 12 years experience in the Special Forces, 22 years in combat training, and 18 years in covert military special operations. In reality, he never saw any combat. Following his time in the Army, he joined the reserves for 3 years, and then the individual ready reserves for another 3 years after that. So the next 17 years of Jack Idema's life can be summed up as being chock full of petty crime, failing businesses, and tough guy antics. Jack was arrested a lot of times during the 80s and 90s for things ranging from discharging a firearm into a dwelling to being a fugitive from justice. Surprisingly, he managed to escape being convicted for all of these charges, except for his arrest in 1994, which I'll get to later. To understand Jack Idema, you have to understand the subculture and readership of Soldier of Fortune magazine. Soldier of Fortune magazine billed itself as a journal for professional adventurers.
So I'm not too familiar with Soldier of Fortune, but it seems a lot like Black Belt magazine from what I understand.
I was about to say, I used to read it as a kid. It's dead ass Black Belt, but military.
Yeah.
Same shit. Same kind of ads in the back for like buying weapons. Literally, they had like the martial arts like VHSs and the Ninja Stars. All that shit was in Soldier of Fortune too.
Huh. Interesting. Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're from the same company, like the same magazine company. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but wouldn't surprise me.
Let's see.
Covered stuff like paramilitary operations, guns, wars, and spies. Its readership was mostly made up of ex-military types and military fetishists with a desire for excitement, adventure, and action. Flipping through the pages of Soldier of Fortune magazine gives you a better sense of why Rambo wannabes loved it so much. Underwater knife fighting techniques. Another example is a multi-part series on urban street survival. Much like most of the Soldier of Fortune readership, Jack Idema was a man who didn't get his chance to fight in a war, even though he desperately wanted to. So he decided to use his short stint in the Special Forces as a selling point to establish businesses which relied on people believing that he was the ultimate badass.
So, you know what? I'm speechless. I don't really have anything to say. But it's crazy, right? This is nuts.
I mean,
I don't think there's anything. I don't think I'm going to spoil anything by talking about this, but we're going to learn that everything about this guy's personality was based in insecurity, and ultimately he just wanted to be cool.
Oh, yeah.
As silly as it sounds, that really is at the heart of it.
No, that's half of these people that tell, you got people all over telling, stories and embellishing the truth and making stuff up. It's because they want to be cool, because they don't have anything else to latch onto. But that's it.
This guy started a rumor that he played at a battle of the bands in his high school. Just kidding.
Well, it's like people who give themselves a nickname.
Oh my God, yes. Those are they are the worst.
Yeah. Like there's a guy at the, Butch, just call me Butch. And he's a young kid and he was introducing himself. And I said, you know what? I go, don't do that. I said, I'd made up and I go, hi, my name's Steven. People call me Butch. I go, that's how you do that. But yeah, but then he goes on about how it was his grandpa's name. And I go, oh, so you gave it to yourself? You gave yourself a nickname?
God.
Yeah. I mean,
my friends call me T-Bone.
Yeah.
Right. It's that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So-
or the Duke. Yes.
Yes. He would be Butch the Third if his grandfather had that nickname, no?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Let's learn more.
He opened a counterterrorism training school called Counter Academy, which attracted a clientele of military personnel, police officers, and weekend warriors looking for. In a new segment covering countergroups, Jack demonstrates the type of training the school gave.
Fire, recover, re-verify your sights. Holster. Without target discrimination training, we will have little or no hope of identifying the hostage and the terrorists. In this drill, circle, diamond, square, you will pick out the correct target.
Around this time, Jack also started a mail-order business selling paintball equipment and non-lethal military gear. He's still respected to this day by paintball enthusiasts who regard him as a pioneer in the sport who sold high-quality equipment. He also organized Special Forces expos, which attracted the Soldier of Fortune crowd and
I found that odd that he was into paintball and Special Forces. Just odd,
Yeah, makes sense though, because have you like seen paintball people?
I guess not. Like when I was a kid or like when I was a teenager, paintball was a big thing, and it was usually like nerds.
Yeah. Well, now imagine those nerds, but they think they're Rambo because it's paintball's big. There's professional like paintball courses and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, they're
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying they're absolutely nerds with like unearned arrogance.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, then maybe things haven't changed. But what's funny is like I was doing a little bit of extra research about stolen valor, trying to kind of understand it, and I heard the term that I heard a term I had never heard before, and I thought it was really unique, called military fetishes. And I was like, wow, that's odd. It sounds weird to the to the ear, but it made sense.
You know exactly what it means when you hear it.
Yes, exactly. You know exactly what that means. And it's like, wow, all right. And that, anyway, all that to simply say is that there are people who just fantasize about being in the military. And it wouldn't surprise me if now that those paintball, or what do they call the soft air pellets, or whatever those are called?
Airsoft, yeah.
Yeah, airsoft, that's what it is. I'm thinking specifically, there's this guy who's famous on the internet for impersonating a police officer, Jeremy. I can't think of him. He's viral. He's totally viral. But
What are you talking about?
yeah, he impersonates police officers and gets arrested frequently for impersonating police officers. But everything about him is fetishes, where he does the airsoft, he does paintball, and he dresses in military fatigues and poses for pictures. Never done a day in the military. Never done a day as a cop. But he's like a 50-year-old guy. You know, it's a weird thing. And but I think all of us kind of know somebody like that, because I think it's a widespread issue. Anyway, enough of me rambling.
Acted as a venue for him to sell his gear. In 1991, he met a subcontractor who offered him a job training police officers in Lithuania. After spending some time in Lithuania, Jack contacted the Pentagon and the FBI, claiming to have unraveled an underworld plot. The Russian mafia, Jack said, was smuggling portable nuclear weapons in backpacks out of the country. When the FBI asked Jack for his sources, he refused to reveal them out of fear that the FBI was compromised by KGB agents. When Jack returned to the United States in 1992, his business, Idema Combat Systems, was floundering. In an effort to save his business, he set up a shell company to purchase supplies which he did not pay for. In 1994, he was arrested along with his girlfriend, Patricia Dawn Glosson, for defrauding 60 companies out of $250,000. In court, Jack legally represented himself. He argued that he was the victim of an FBI plot and claimed that the agency carried a vendetta against him because he did not reveal his sources for the information he provided to them concerning the backpack nuke smuggling operation. The judge presiding over his case said he thought that insanity might be Jack's best defense. On April 11, 1995, Jack was sentenced to 4 years in prison and fined $250,000. After being sentenced, Jack screamed that he was innocent and that he would sue the FBI.
He's going to sue the FBI, folks.
That'll work.
This is the guy Joey C. wishes he was.
And John, to some extent. And Chad. I could totally see Chad doing this. It's some weird shit. And it's always the same MO for when you get caught. I get caught. It wasn't me. It's somebody else's fault. I'm going to sue somebody.
Right.
You know? It's always the same thing, even in our little world. I'm going to sue somebody because they hurt my feelings.
Right.
Yeah. It's weird. All right. Now, this is all just setting up the story of before, or letting you know that this guy was essentially a lifetime grifter. I mean, this guy was he made a career out of grifting.
Yeah.
His whole life was grifting.
Total bag of shit. Got it.
Total bag of shit. And then it just, like we see with every other grifter, when you start, the next grift has to outdo the last grift, and you start to evolve and you start chasing this weird high over your grifts. Anyway.
While working on this video, I reached out to everyone who knew Jack in real life to ask them about him. And that's how I found Ron Barber. Ron was in prison at the same time as Jack. And he was inside for, I'll let Ron tell you why.
My name is Ronald Gene Barber. I was a member of the Army Intelligence working for NSA. In early 1994, I was charged with the attempted assassination of former President Bill Clinton. I was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, plus 3 years probation.
I don't know anything about this guy. They're only interviewing him because he was in prison with Jack Idema. I don't know if that's true. I don't know what his story is, but something tells me he's a little off. You don't get 5 years for threatening the president of the United States.
Is that Dave from Wendy's?
He also looks like a Kids in the Hall character. It's weird.
And I don't remember ever any kind of, not that it would be all in the news, but, I never remember anything about Bill Clinton's assassination attempt.
Yeah, he's kind of known for something else.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Ron told me that he was hosting a party and that he was secretly recorded while he was drunk saying,
I was going to shoot Bill. Yeah, I was going to get him when he was jogging, and then I was going to hot foot it over to the White House, leap the fence and run in and grab her and stomp her to death.
found guilty of making threats against the president, he was sent to a prison where he met Jack Idema. So you told me before the last time that...
I don't know if I buy it. It just sounds so weird, and I don't know if that gets you 5 years in prison. I don't know if it's too much or too little, but 5 years just doesn't seem right. I don't buy anything about this guy. But whatever.
If they took circumstances, well, he was drunk at a party. I mean, so let's be lenient on him.
And also, if he was just at a party, who gives a shit what he says? It just seems odd. So none of it makes sense. I think that's just a lunatic. Stewie Feld, thank you for the $5. I was in the National Guard, and one of our dirtbag cooks ended up as a colonel in the Kentucky militia after he got out. Wow. Not unbelievable.
Yeah.
But a little unbelievable.
I read KY Militia, and I thought something completely different. I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
Oh, it's the Chainsaw. He threatened George Clinton, president of funk.
That's why he only got 5 years. Please don't fail me now.
Oh, man, that's funny. Here we go.
We talked that you and like a group of people that he kind of put together in prison, you guys were all filing lawsuits, and I think you mentioned that.
Oh, Stewie felt 3 to 5 years is pretty standard for a threat to an elected official. But it wasn't a threat to them. It was a comment at a party. That's where I'm a little weirded out by it. I'm like, is that considered a threat? If you're just,
I guess it's a public declaration that he had a plan to kill the president.
Right.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess that there was also there's something called an overt act when it comes to threats, which means it's not just a threat, but something else that implies that you're planning to go through with it. I'm going to guess that this guy also did that and left that part out of the story.
Yeah,
but that's just me.
That one of them was like an attorney.
Some of the guys there that were on this legal team of the Idemas really were lawyers. In fact, one of them was a former senator from New Jersey, state senator, not a U.S. senator. Idema, he had a good legal mind. He was suing everybody that I guess he ever met in his life. Idema was just to be spiteful and be vengeful. He would, they put him on, maybe send him to the mess hall, put him on pots and pans, and he would sue the guard that gave him the detail. He made himself very unpopular with the prison administration and the guards, but very popular with the inmates. And he always wanted to do that. He always wanted to stand out in the crowd and be noticed and be a hero, so to speak.
Now, that part of his story seems believable considering what we know about him so far. He wants to be cool. He wants to be accepted.
Right.
God, he looks like a dickhead in this picture.
Yeah, he does. Totally looks like he's trying to be Tom Selleck.
Right.
See, Stewie felt I was a prison guard. We had guys who were, quote, entrapped by informants or wrote threatening letters. You see, but that makes more sense to me because you're like telling the person that you're planning to kill that you're going to kill them. That's a threat. Me saying I'm going to kill George Clooney here, in my own house, I don't know. It doesn't seem the same. It seems like there's more to the story. That's all I'm going to say, I guess.
Isn't it just literally, isn't it a law? I always thought it was a law that you can't threaten to kill the president.
Might be. I mean, might be. I don't know. I've never had to deal with that aspect of law. If I was dealing with people who threatened the president, I would brag about it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a law. You cannot openly threaten the president of the United States.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. What's considered a threat? I don't know. Whatever. We could talk about this all night.
He did say something about that, and then about river dancing on that woman's head. So I mean, he was pretty clear with it. He gave detail on what he wanted to do to both people.
I mean, he did say he wanted to sneak into the house and put a gun up to his head. And
oh, that's true. Yeah, you got me there.
Law prohibits making threats to take the life of, kidnap, or inflict bodily harm upon the president, president-elect, or vice president, or other individuals. Next to the line.
But does that mean like just saying it out loud in a private residence?
I think you say it to your Google Home and they're listening. They'll come fucking get you.
Right.
I also guess depends like who was at that party. You know what I'm saying? Like if it was someone who happened to work for the government, and I guess maybe it's like their duty, if you will, to like have to like report it if they hear it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Sounds like a busybody.
Yeah.
They were saying, "Hey George, why don't you tell him that dream you had about that thing with the Clintons?" And
Like,
then
Fucking hall monitor, if you ask me.
and also he said that somebody recorded him, so it might have been like an hour of him rambling and they got the last 10 minutes of it because they're like, God, turn something on, shut him up. But it just seems odd. Like if I'm in my home and I say I'm gonna kill my neighbor, that's not a threat. If I tell my neighbor I'm going to kill you, that's where it becomes a threat. So I don't know. It just seems odd to change it up. Anyway.
I mean, it's its own literal law, I guess. It's just unique. Like it's a Class D felony. It says maximum up to 5 years prison.
God, he couldn't even get an A in felonies.
Hamhead, thank you for the $10. What's your knowledge on bird law, Lou? I can't remember how people respond when Charlie says that he's an expert in bird law. How do people respond to that? Anyway, whatever.
give him a funny look, like
face palms, pretty much.
Let's see.
Ron's right. Jack's life's mission was to be seen as a heroic, larger-than-life badass, which is why between filing numerous frivolous lawsuits and appeals from his prison cell, he was also occupied with trying to adapt his life story into a feature film. Jack wanted to find someone who could tell his story the way he wanted it to be told. In other words, the story he wanted to be told was like fan fiction of himself. In his version of events, he possessed a storied history full of top-secret operations, which were so hush-hush that they were scrubbed from his military record. According to him, he was, quote, one of the only 24 elite, super-secret, Hua-Rang Do warriors clandestinely trained at Fort Bragg. He said he had top grades in every subject and was on his way to Harvard Law before deciding to become a Green Beret. He was also a part of the Army's top-secret SOT course, where they trained their elite ninja-type commando teams.
Now we're seeing the crossover into the world of Bullshido with the fake martial arts, the claims of, being masters of martial arts. This guy literally was every horrible trope of the 80s. He wanted to be a ninja. He wanted to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. He wanted to be Bruce Willis in Die Hard. He wanted to be Tom Selleck. He really is trying to embody everything that we laugh at now about the 80s. And it's crazy. That was enough to fuel him to do these crazy stunts. It's really amazing.
So Jack really wanted to adapt his story into a film, and it was while he was in prison where he finally found an in. He met an award-winning CBS journalist and documentary filmmaker named Gary Skirka, who paid him a visit after reading about him in an issue of Soldier of Fortune magazine. And Gary Skirka, Jack found a documentarian who promised to share his story with the world.
This is a story of perseverance and patriotism, friendships and devotion to duty, and treachery at the highest level.
He literally found somebody to believe him and do a documentary on him.
See, this is Joey C's biggest. Like, this is what Joey wants. Swear to God, like
dreams of this. Yeah, it's crazy.
This is amazing.
It's amazing, right? And there's so much more.
Of the United States government. Robbed of his freedom, they thought he would fake. They were wrong. Now Keith Idema is out.
He hasn't left America yet.
Yeah, exactly. Now you see they're referring to him as Keith Idema, and it says there's a little asterisk there that for some reason it just says Jack used to go by Keith. We don't know why. It just did. Just one of those. I don't get it. We don't really have an explanation for it. But
he had the Keith Hernandez mustache. So
that's true. Yeah.
Tell the world his remarkable story.
After 3 years, Jack was released from prison on September 16th, 1997, and he returned to Cumberland County in Fayetteville, North Carolina. While working on this documentary, I was given access to a vast amount of Jack's personal files for the purposes of this project. Sifting through his documents shows bits and pieces of Jack's life after being released from prison. In a letter written to his probation officer, he requested to travel from North Carolina to New York and then to New Hampshire on business for his employer, Static Control Components. The director of Static Control Components was Jack's lawyer named Skip London. Skip is a property attorney. He met Jack in the early 90s and represented him. On the phone, Skip told me that Jack worked at Static Control Components for a few years as the head of a team of security guards. Skip indicated that Jack was hypervigilant. He told me, quote, "Some people you have to tell to start, but he was the kind of guy that you had to tell to stop." Soon,
and that's a weird thing, is that he apparently takes security, and again, talking about the military fetishist, you know, he gets a job as a security guard, and finally we see like an honest living that he's doing, and, you know, an honest career that he's taking seriously. And it's interesting because, yeah, you don't ever hear about a con man who works hard at a day job, but this one seemed to work.
One hell of a security guard too. Like, this is the kind of guy I would want as one of my security people.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Jack started a business called the Ultimate Pet Resort with his prison pen pal turned lover, Victoria Runningwell.
Did you hear that? He starts a business called the Ultimate Pet Resort with his prison pen pal, who ultimately becomes his lover.
It was described as a cozy bed and breakfast for dogs and cats. Jack was an animal lover, and from what I can tell, he possessed an idealistic vision for the pet resort's facilities, which consisted of open spaces for the pets to roam freely, and a promise to never enclose them in cages. Prominently featured on the Ultimate Pet Resort's website was Jack's dog named Sarge. Jack claimed that Sarge could parachute out of helicopters and could sniff out bombs. He also said that he was saving Sarge's DNA to have him cloned after his death. So the late 90s were fairly eventful for Jack. He was staying out of trouble, his business was doing well, and he was working on seeing his life story made into a motion picture. But then 9/11 happened. In an
What'd you say?
It even looks like Joey C in that one picture.
Yeah, he does. He does. Hey,
God.
Hey, I'm getting so much of that echo now. Does anybody else hear that? I don't know what's wrong. Like, it's getting on my nerves.
Nothing.
Does the chat hear it? Does it hear that echo? It might just be me.
Published manuscript that Jack wrote called The Sixth Pillar, Task Force 7. He wrote, "Life was good. I had a house, a dog, a hot tub, a new turbocharged Grand Prix, a great job, and a beautiful wife. My old enemy, the Soviet Union, was extinct. Everything was grand. Then the fucking terrorists blew up New York."
My old enemy, the Soviet Union. Jesus. I mean, when you're gonna dream, you got to dream big.
Right.
And he wrote a book, and this details. You know what? Just hear for yourself. So
look at the paragraph above it. 2 days later, I was released without ever giving up my assets to the FBI or telling them anything else besides "fuck you." I didn't trust the FBI then, and I haven't trusted them since.
I didn't read that. But yeah, he was a political prisoner, obviously.
Like so many others, our lives were changed that day. But my destiny was clear. I would engage terrorists wherever they were, wherever they hid, wherever they ran. I would die before I let them do this again.
He's a security guard. I want to remind everyone, he is a security guard. Yeah.
In order to enter Afghanistan, Jack contacted a humanitarian aid worker and Vietnam vet named Ed Artis. He told...
So to your question earlier about getting flights into Afghanistan, Gummi, he conned his way into getting into Afghanistan.
Told Artis that Gary Skirka of National Geographic wanted to make a documentary about his humanitarian organization, Knightsbridge International.
Now this becomes a very important part of the story. There's a guy named Gary Skirka who is a documentarian looking to make a documentary about this other person's humanitarian aid. And Jack starts befriending all these people involved.
And their efforts in Afghanistan. In the email, Jack described the idea of the documentary saying, you know, ex-military guys doing humanitarian work while bombs fall around them kind of stuff.
So he now is basically trying to hijack the documentarian and saying, why don't you do a documentary about me? Because I'm more interesting and I'm a ninja. And
God.
Ex-military guys doing humanitarian work while bombs fall around him. Dang, Lizard. Thank you so much for celebrating 2 months of membership. We appreciate you. Thank you. So, yes, once again, piece of shit, garbage, elbowing people out of the way to step over his own dead mother just for a tiny little piece of the spotlight, and it gets worse.
Coverage is good, but with me, it's mission first. It's not about me. If you've been paying attention, you know by now that that surely was not the case. Of course, Jack planned to make it all about himself. As Robert Pelton writes in his book, License to Kill, Jack had never been to Afghanistan or been seriously involved in humanitarian work, but saw an opportunity to use the lens of a documentarian's camera to record for posterity all the heroic deeds he intended to commit, or at least dramatize. It was
so completely unprepared, completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Unqualified to do the things he's saying to this documentarian, but was good enough at selling the idea that they decided to take a chance on him. Ding Lizard, thank you for the $2. So Paul Blart was based on a true fake story. Dollars, I'm sorry. Thank you for the €2. Your croissant dollars. Yes, Paul Blart was based on a true fake story. Yeah, this is funny how much this resembles Paul Blart. Actually, I didn't even think about that.
Oh, can I just pivot for 1 quick second?
Sure.
Okay, now that you said croissant, I've been doing something since last Friday, and my chick is ready to kill me. I've been pronouncing my hard C's like last week, like, with the covenant. So I was like, you want a cupcake or a croissant to my chick? And I just been announcing it like the way he say, our covenant of blood. So I've just been pronouncing all my hard C's like that, and she's ready to kill me. As she gives me the evil eyes right now from across the room.
There's if you knew anything about Howard Stern, there was a character named High Pitch Eric who was so fat that, like, whenever he would make K or C sounds, they would make fun of him because it would sound like he would gurgle a little bit. So he'd be like, manicotti. That's what I think of when you say that. That's funny.
Long before it became obvious to Ed Artis what Jack's intentions for the project were. According to Artis, when he first met Jack announced that he wanted to, quote, kill every fucking Afghan I see. He recounts that Jack tried very hard to make himself the star of the documentary and said, quote, he's the dumbest fuck I have ever met. Artis recalled a time when Jack pushed a humanitarian aid worker out of the way so he could pose for a photo op with an expensive EKG machine.
He literally, so according to this witness, the humanitarians were taking pictures with medical equipment, and he jumped in and pushed someone aside to be the one in the picture.
Meant to be delivered to those in need. Eventually, Artis became fed up with Jack's behavior and told Gary Skirka that he would not participate in the documentary unless Jack stayed away while they were shooting it. On November 11th...
So literally someone says, you got to get rid of that guy or I'm not going to be involved with this. Amazing. This guy just rubbed people the wrong way. He was a complete asshole, a liar, a con man, a criminal. And it just continues to escalate.
2001, Gary Skirka was badly injured by shrapnel from an artillery blast and was medevaced back to the United States a few weeks earlier than he planned to leave. A reporter named Tim Friend said that after he and a group of others carried Skirka to safety and dressed his wounds, Jack arrived with a cameraman. Quote, just when we finished dressing Skirka's leg, Jack runs up screaming. He rips off the bandages and redresses the wounds. Basically, he was acting in front of the camera.
He took off the bandages from a wounded person, took them off so that he could redo it in front of a camera.
Wow.
Amazing.
Skirka gone, there was no documentary left to work on. Jack was only there as a security guard, not a filmmaker, and Ed Artis wanted nothing to do with him. Sometime later, Ed Artis faxed this warning about Jack to the US authorities. This man is a very dangerous person by virtue of his carelessness and stupidity. And before he gets someone killed, possibly me, or someone traveling with me inside Afghanistan, he needs to be removed from the area. So after a couple months, Jack was stuck in Afghanistan with no documentary and with nothing to do. So he adapted. Jack started tracking down the anti-Taliban soldiers of the Northern Alliance and making connections with them so he could pass himself off as a Northern Alliance advisor. Around this time that he took a stack of pictures of him posing with the Northern Alliance, saving children, dressing wounds, and staging other photo ops to make himself seem heroic. By this point in the war, the anti-Taliban forces in the Northern Alliance had taken over much of the country. Whether they knew that Jack wasn't officially sanctioned was unclear. Jack put together a small militia of Northern Alliance fighters and started offering journalists safe escorts into the Battle of Tora Bora.
Security guard, folks. Still want to say this again. This guy was a security guard. He is putting together militias in Afghanistan and then offering security to reporters and the press.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. This and an ex-con who was in jail for fraud is doing this. Unbelievable story, folks. And we have not even got to the craziest shit yet.
Stop. Are you serious?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
For the price of $1,000 a head. Tora Bora was where the action was, and it was the story that most war journalists in the country wanted to report on, but it was far too dangerous to travel there on their own. Eric Campbell, a correspondent for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, recalls that 4 journalists had been murdered on the road from Kabul to Jalalabad less than a week earlier, and that he was stuck in Kabul until he met Jack, who offered to take him there. Journalists were used as special forces operatives who did not speak to the press due to their code of silence. But Jack would talk willingly, and Jack always had a way to back up his air of credibility. In an article written by a journalist named Richard S. Ehrlich, who interviewed Jack several times, he writes, Jack displayed a resume that he kept on his laptop, which listed military badges he said he had earned. But his biography stopped in 1991. When asked about the 1990s, Jack would say, for over 10 years, I've been black, implying secret missions he could not divulge.
What about these giant holes in your resume? I went black.
That's why he went by Keith, to have that. I'm sure.
Black name.
Yes, I went black, and I never went back. What an odd thing to say, also. I went black. Just say I was doing secret stuff. That's an odd way to say it.
No, that's the super hip, cool, awesome way to say it.
Yes, and probably the way in the 80s that it had more validity and credibility.
Yeah, I went black. That
How ninjas talk.
I had.
Yes.
Well, Jack, I suppose the question people are wondering is,
what's that?
I said the pricing seems like really low, even for back then. Like
I was gonna say that. I was like, man, $1,000. That's not a lot of money.
$1,000 per person.
Yeah, but like how many people? You know, like you got to split all that. It's not a lot, especially if you're conning people. You know.
Yeah, I used to work security like back when musicians would come to New York, and I would get more. And this is fucking going from 4 blocks through Manhattan. Not this guy's in Afghanistan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could not. It is like the fact he charged so little. I bet that there's no way. There's got to be some some backdoor shit.
I mean, nothing about this makes sense. So I feel like we shouldn't even start trying to rationalize any detail of it. So yeah.
That's my big problem. Leading security convoy in Afghanistan.
Well, we've had a problem since I got here with security of journalists, security of aid workers.
Hold on. This is good. I'm planning on having an episode soon about somebody who was a prolific liar, and we have some video of someone describing the language that someone will try to do to kind of deflect the language when they don't want to give a straight answer. Listen to how this answer gets, or the question and the answer he gives.
Well, Jack, I suppose the question people are wondering is what's a Green Beret veteran doing leading?
What's a Green Beret veteran doing? Leading
security convoy in Afghanistan.
Well, we've had a problem since I got here with security of journalists, security of aid workers, humanitarian aid workers, and even foreigners.
His answer is there's been a problem. He doesn't say anything about his appointment there, who he's working for. You realize that's the question that's being asked is, what are you doing here? And his answer is just to say, there's stuff going on here. And,
since I got here, there's been a problem.
There's been a problem. Now, obviously, the context of that question is who sent you? Who are you working for? Who's your boss? Under whose authority are you here? That's the context of that question. And he's like, no, there's a need here. And decided to show up. So
he went full Cobra. There's a disease and I'm the cure.
It is an. I have to admit that's an expert deflection. But it is in fact a deflection. He tried to deflect that. He doesn't answer the question that the reporter is asking.
As you know, there were one guy killed in Talakan, 4 were were robbed and killed on the road from Jalalabad. When the National Geographic guy was wounded, I was there in Calcutta.
He's just naming stats of people who died. He has not answered the question. I mean, I have to just hand it to this guy. Like, people bought this shit, and I don't know how, but they did.
And we tried to air asset him out and get him out of medevac, and we had a difficult time doing it. So we've been batting around the idea of security protection force for journalists, aid workers, and foreigners.
In October 2001 and June 2002, Jack appeared in over 1,000 U.S. newspapers and over 250 television news shows.
You hear that?
Wow.
1,000 newspapers and 200 news shows.
He served as a commentator on Fox News and was paid $500 per appearance.
I wish I knew. I mean,
How do you do that much?
It is so fucking weird.
It was a lucrative hustle, and it helped fund his stay in Afghanistan.
That is him on Fox News.
On one occasion, he charged a room full of journalists $100 per person to attend a press conference with a local warlord named Hazrat Ali. It was later revealed that he duped the warlord by telling him that the journalists were Pentagon officials. Jack was clearly a bullshit artist of the highest degree, but that's only part of...
So now he's not just conning the government, he's conning the warlords of Afghanistan.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? I mean, just imagine that the truth got out.
That could be dangerous.
He would have been in pieces.
Like, is that balls or stupidity? I mean, it's a fine line.
We're going to learn a little bit more. And I'll tell you what I think. It's a gray area. We're not totally sure.
Right.
I think this guy was just a psychopath.
Imagine if TikTok was around. Like, he'd be like, you're right here bandaging people while doing it.
Right, exactly.
Bandaging for the gram.
Yeah. And this guy would have ran the fire festival, But I was telling you, like, the story wasn't even getting like close to the craziest thing. He's scamming warlords of Afghanistan,
fucked up,
bringing people in and telling them that they are part of the press. I mean, in my line of work, I have dealt with some scam artists before, and it's funny that I've said it before on the show that my brain always goes to a little tiny shred of sympathy when I think of all of the lies in their head and having to wake up and organize them. Who did I tell this to? Who did I tell that to? What did I say about that? You're juggling so many balls, spinning so many plates in the air that has to weigh on you mentally, physically. That's got to keep you up at night. This motherfucker was lying on a grand epic scale of lies. And to some extent, I have a little bit of sympathy or maybe even admiration because I'm like, how did you keep this going? How did you do this? Anyway.
Shit. I just realized something. So he lied to the warlord and said that they were all Pentagon people, right?
Right.
So that put them all in danger because the guy was like, holy shit, we got a bunch of diplomats. We could take them hostage.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about if you
shit. I just realized that right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying exactly about. Can you imagine if the truth had gotten out?
Yeah, I just thought about gambling with his life. It just registered that he gambled like that whole room's lives. Holy shit, dude.
He would have been liquefied.
Oh my God.
No, I get what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
The warlord could have said, "Oh, you guys are just impersonating Pentagon officials." Yeah,
and you're Americans, and
right. Or the warlord could have said, "Hey, we have a room full of Pentagon officials. Let's all take them hostage."
That's exactly what I was saying.
Oh! You're saying like even in the midst of what he believed. Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
because he put everyone in that room in danger by lying.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. Like I had to say it out loud, but I get what you're saying now, Gummi.
Yeah. Take a second. That's fucked, dude.
That is, wow. That is weird.
Oh my God.
I mean,
like, right? That adds like a whole new layer.
That's weird. All right.
the reason why he was able to trick so many people. The emergence of private military contractors and guns for hire created an environment where it became difficult to distinguish Jack from an officially sanctioned mercenary. Jack looked the part with his dark shades, desert camouflage fatigues, and military haircut. There were hundreds of guys like that in Afghanistan at the time, ex-military types working for PMCs. However, the obvious difference between them and Jack was that they were legit and he was not. As an Afghan businessman told the New York Times, if you're blonde or a Westerner and you're wearing black sunglasses, carrying a pistol in a leg holster, and driving a car without a license plate, nobody would ever question who you are. People just assume you're CIA or Special Forces or someone dangerous. People stay away from you. Even though Jack looked the part, he gained a controversial reputation among many war journalists who ridiculed him behind his back. In his book, Robert Belton writes that journalists would call Jack Mr. Potato Head.
So people didn't like him. I think that's hilarious.
Due to his mercurial ability to portray himself as a private military contractor, or CIA, or a Special Forces operative, depending on who he spoke to. Jack also gained a reputation for his violent tendencies. On one occasion, he pulled out a gun on a journalist named Tom Robertson and shot at him, nearly missing. And the only reason Jack was upset enough to try to shoot him was because Robertson had interrupted him during a discussion.
That'll do it. I hate being interrupted.
Stewie Fell, thank you for the $2. Holy crap, he looks like D-Day. Oh my God, yes, he does.
Nice.
Wow, that's funny. Yes, he totally looks like D-Day. That's hilarious.
So that's where D-Day went after college.
Yes, remember he disappeared.
Unknown.
Yeah. Thank you for the $2. Thank you.
Jack would often show up at the Intercontinental Hotel where most foreign journalists stayed and regaled them with tales of how he helped organize the operation to topple the Taliban. One day, he walked in with a box of cassette tapes and claimed that they contained 8 hours of Al-Qaeda training footage. On the tapes were target practice featuring Al-Qaeda members rolling over barrels, urban warfare simulations with moving targets, drive-by shootings on the back of a motorcycle, and rappelling down buildings. At the time, the media was paying a lot of money for tapes of Al-Qaeda and Taliban members, and Jack knew he could make bank off of them. He gave them to Eric Campbell, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation correspondent I mentioned earlier, who transferred, edited, and verified the authenticity of the tapes so they could be sold to broadcasters.
They sprayed the room a couple times, and this tells me that at some point they put live hostages in here.
We toured the camp with a US Special Forces veteran now advising the Afghan military. For security reasons, he declines to give us his real name. He believes the tapes reveal their fanatical desire to rival their counter-terrorist.
He gets another documentary.
I'm sorry, but I always think everybody's full of shit. Like I don't think I would ever believe this guy's stories.
I agree with you, and I feel the same way. I don't think I would have ever fallen for it. But you just always gotta. I always think that I'm always capable of being fooled, and that's when my defenses go up. Where I'm just like,
Right.
You know what? Someone's trying to fool me. Someone's trying to do this.
Yeah.
And when you fool so many people, I do have to just kind of think to myself, something had credibility. Something there had credibility. Whether or not it was true or not, we don't know, or sincere, but something gave credibility. And in hindsight, it's easy to say he's full of shit and that we would have never done anything, but a lot of people got fooled. I don't know how. I don't know. Something hooked them.
I guess it's one of those things where, like, everyone who's there, the reporters are scared. They're like, "Oh my God, thank God, an American with a mustache and an AK-47. I'm saved."
Yeah, if you're there, that's
right.
Than him telling you these stories at a bar. That makes more sense for sure.
That does, and like it's probably the fact that there's a lot of people who don't speak your language, and you hear one person who speaks a language with a crazy story, and you just automatically give them credibility because of the fact that you understand them and that you can communicate with them, and in this crazy world, you want to believe them,
Yeah, and he's like, and he's not shooting you, so he must be on your side. You know what I mean?
Right, and if you're there in the middle of it, I'm sure you would. An American who looks like him with the, typical black clothes, AK-47. Yeah, you would, I shit gold, and you'd be like, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so fucking unbelievable. I I don't know how. And I always like to think to myself, we can never be fooled, but I'm not that dumb. Anybody can be fooled. But how he fooled so many people is just astounding. Like, it really is amazing. But again, we haven't got to the crazy shit yet.
God, really?
I'm serious.
Opponents.
We've seen it in limited situations, but not in this wide range. Not in a wide range that includes motorcades, close quarter battle, integrated assaults, open air assaults, linear target assaults, a whole spectrum of terroristic activities.
Northern Alliance soldiers discovered the tapes here shortly after the foreign fighters fled. They've come to light only because Jack bought them from one of his intelligence assets, videotaping the heavily armed transaction as proof of payment.
This took weeks to pull off, maybe about a month. It was constant meetings, it was back alley meetings at midnight. It was going to remote places in Afghanistan in the hills and little houses.
Hey, Cupcake, you were a Howard Stern fan, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. There's going to be a Howard Stern reference coming up here soon.
All right.
I don't think everyone else is going to get it, but you will, I promise.
Is to meet people, to try and convince them to turn all the tapes over to me.
A bidding war began for the rights to be the first network to air the tapes. 60 Minutes won the bid for an undisclosed amount.
Dan Rather,
legendary
folks.
newsman Dan Rather traveled to Afghanistan to interview Jack for the program.
Dan Rather, folks.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Please. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
About a half an hour north of downtown Kabul, you come upon this place, a sprawling complex of now battered buildings that once was the heartbeat of Osama bin Laden's training operation. This is where Al-Qaeda created killers. Put these tapes in context for me. What are we looking at?
They're extraordinary tapes. They're extraordinary tapes because of two main reasons. First, they give an insight never before seen into what Al-Qaeda is really about. Al-Qaeda and Taliban have been portrayed as like regular soldiers, like they've been portrayed as a military.
I normally would edit a long interview like this. There's a lot of shit like this in here that I just cut it up. I just couldn't bring myself to cut this because it's fucking Dan Rather interviewing this lunatic.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than a total terroristic organization. And these tapes bring that right to light. I mean, they put a different face on Al-Qaeda. They are terrorists, plain and simple. They're killing people on streets. They're kidnapping people off street corners. They're throwing grenades through windows. They're rocketing cars.
Now again, okay, so now we're like a fifth of the way through this documentary, okay? But I want to ask you guys. I've asked you before. I guess I'm doing this just to hammer the point home. At the beginning of this show, I asked you guys, had you heard of this person? You all said no, or except for Gummi, who knew about this because of this documentary I shared with him. But someone who did this, you'd think you would have heard of them.
Yeah.
Right? Why is it that we haven't heard about this
I
guy?
probably did or easily could have and just forgot about him, or it was just another asshole.
I guess it's true, but this is just such an unbelievable story. You definitely didn't hear the extent of the story.
I mean, Dan, was this interview aired on CBS?
I don't know. I actually don't know if it was, but it's just such a crazy story. But my point is just to simply say that, I don't know if y'all can hear my dogs howling.
Yeah.
The point of that is just to simply say, I sincerely believe that the government hid a lot of this story because they were so embarrassed by it. But anyway.
Cars, they're taking office buildings, killing people in cafeterias. I mean, this is absolutely the face of terror.
In June 2002, when Hamid Karzai was picked to lead Afghanistan's transitional government, Jack was packing his bags and heading back to the United States. His mother, Mary B. Versace, had died a couple months earlier. So Jack traveled to Poughkeepsie.
That is a funny thing. His mom's last name was Versace.
Right.
In New York to mourn. Jack remained in the United States for nearly 2 years before returning to Afghanistan. While he was there, he busied himself by suing a ton of people. First, Jack sued Steven Spielberg and DreamWorks Studios for copyright infringement, with Gary Skirka, Kathy Skirka, and his longtime supporter, Jim Morris.
Those were the documentarians and the person who gave him a job.
a writer for Soldier of Fortune magazine, as co-complainants. Jack believed that The Peacemaker, a movie released in 1997 starring George Clooney, had a plot which was stolen from an assortment of several manuscripts of his life story. The plot of The Peacemaker does bear some similarities to Jack's story, such as its focus on a backpack nuclear bomb smuggling operation. And although the court noted that there were some similarities between the stories, they concluded that they were not substantial enough to be considered plagiarism. The claim was dismissed, and Jack was ordered to pay $260,079 in legal fees, which he never did.
And he never paid it.
Shocking.
The guy does this full-on con job in Afghanistan and comes back home to sue Steven Spielberg. Again, if you're gonna dream big, folks.
Right.
Another person who Jack sued is a man named Eric Cassette, who I was lucky enough to speak to. Eric Cassette worked at his father's car dealership and repossession business when he first crossed paths with Jack.
We'd gotten a repossession order, me and my dad, which we owned a repossession company, to repossess his car. But he sued us he was trying to get $1 million and some dollars, saying that my dad was 430 pounds, said he jumped his fence, broke into his business, and destroyed his computers. The first day, when we first got served papers from him, he rolled up in front of my dad's house with 4 blacked out SUVs, fully loaded with special ops guys.
So if you can hear that, it's kind of bad audio, but this guy was thank you, Stewie Felt, for the $2. Good old Dan, fake but true rather. I don't know enough about that story. I wonder if that would make a good episode. But this guy was had a towing business with his father, and they repossessed Jack's car, and Jack sued them by saying that they came in and came into his home, broke his computers, all of anything expensive. They just decided to target expensive stuff, and that when he tried to get his car back, he followed them with 4 SUVs with armed people in them.
Yeah, the guy was 400 pounds, this Eric guy said.
Yes.
I used to imagine like South Park.
Yes.
The crowd of military guys coming out.
He come to my door and knocked on it with a pizza box in his hand. My niece opened the door, and she was like 5 at the time. He throws the pizza box at her and says, "Now you're served," and threw his summons at us. We were served.
He threw a pizza box with a summons in it at a 5-year-old girl.
Papers every day.
That pizza was topped with sass.
For a year and a half, 2 years. We had to go to court at least once or twice a week.
Eric believes that Jack placed his father under severe stress, which contributed to his death.
We were not
Couldn't have been the 400 pounds.
I know.
Yeah.
He beat me to it.
Definitely didn't help.
And he was trying to sue us for everything we had, our house, our cars, and probably everything that we'd ever owned. He was a criminal. He was a crook, and he was a nasty person to be up against.
Around this time, Jack reconnected with his hero.
Then Jack writes a book.
Robin Moore. Robin Moore wrote the book The Green Berets, which the John Wayne movie was based on. As mentioned earlier, Jack was obsessed with the Green Berets movie, and it's what made him decide to join the Special Forces. Jack and Robin Moore were already longtime acquaintances through the Special Forces community. So when he reunited with Robin Moore at one of his Special Forces expos, and Moore told him that he was interested in writing about Special Forces operatives in Afghanistan, Jack jumped at the opportunity to insert himself into the tale. The book was named The Hunt for Bin Laden, and it featured Jack on the cover with his shirt open and holding a gun.
Oh my God. Super cool. I have to look super cool if we're going to be doing this book cover. Let me open my shirts up.
The Hunt for Bin Laden. Hold on. Let me make it sexy.
Jack was hired to help Robin Moore with the...
What'd you say?
I've been to some of those, it's about the military conventions.
Yeah.
They used to have them at the Jacob Javits Center in Manhattan. So we used to always just go to like cons, like just for the hell of it on the weekends. But the amount of people you would see like him dressed in the fatigues who were never in the military. Like,
God.
It's dead ass like Comic-Con cosplayers, but military.
Not surprising.
Yeah. It was amazing to watch. Like people like with like full like SWAT tactical gear, and like they would walk around with like the airsoft rifles with the fucking orange tips on the guns.
Oh my God. That's so gay.
Yeah. In these actual cons, it was amazing.
I remembered the name of the guy I was thinking of. His name is Jeremy DeWitt, and this guy has gone. Yeah, this guy has gone viral because he loves to impersonate cops and constantly, like frequently, gets arrested for it. And it's just like that. Like he is not. He's a felon. He's not allowed to even carry a gun or anything. But he literally drives in a motorcycle that he is dressed up to look like a police motorcycle. But it just doesn't say police. Yeah, and it's. I mean, it's exactly everything that you're saying, Gummy. This guy just has a hard on for police and wants to be one so bad that he's willing to play pretend. And it's. I mean, it is a weird thing.
The book as a technical advisor, but found a way to take over the project. Moore's literary agent named Mimi Strong said, Jack came along and rewrote the entire thing. He came up with terribly exciting, excellent copy. According to Strong, the finished manuscript of The Hunt for Bin Laden was largely Jack's doing, with only a few pages written by Moore. In the book, Jack is characterized as a one-man army, an ex-Green Beret operating independently of
I was right.
Exactly like you said. Exactly like you said.
I swear I didn't see this part.
You fucking called it, dude. You called it 100%.
Holy shit.
Yeah, the Hulkamania, the DeWitt rabbit hole is epic. Yeah, man. We're going to have to do some episodes on that guy because, I mean, that dude is sick in the head. It is crazy.
Central Command, who interjected himself in America's war on terrorism as an advisor to the Northern Alliance, and who was the only person collecting actionable intelligence on the ground. Jack claimed that he nearly captured Osama bin Laden, that he thwarted al-Qaeda plots to kill Hamid Karzai and Bill Clinton, and that, quote,
Yep, you heard that right, folks.
In March, standing in the middle of a Kabul street armed with a Russian assault rifle and 600 rounds of ammunition, Jack held off Islamic fundamentalists for 4 hours as they tried to take 18 foreign citizens hostage. The Hunt for Bin Laden was released on December 2nd, 2003, and quickly became a bestseller. It was marketed as the first insider account of the war in Afghanistan. Due to Robin Moore's health issues, Jack took the reins of the book's promotional tour. In media appearances, he was described as a Green Beret working as an advisor to the Northern Alliance. Jack made a lot of money.
You see that? I mean, that is legit. He was working his way into political shows. It's funny. Like I keep stopping this just out of habit, wanting to talk about it, but I'm speechless. Like, I mean, I got nothing. Like, it's so unbelievable.
Money from the book sales because he had the foresight to sign a contract with Moore's agent, which granted him a percentage of the book's profits. Jack also slipped a list of charities into the book, which purported to be for Special Forces operatives, their families, and for the people of Afghanistan. In reality, the donations were sent to Jack's P.O. box and bank accounts.
Did you hear that? Wow. He starts slipping in these names of charities for the readers of the book to donate to the families of veterans, and they were all fake charities sending money straight to his P.O. box.
That's fucked up.
Oddly enough, it's the least fucked up thing he's done so far. It's, I mean, prolific con man. I like, again, I'm just speechless. I mean, like, what this guy was able to accomplish with lies is just astounding.
He was later subpoenaed by the U.S. Attorney's Office and charged with mail fraud. Although the book was a commercial success, it received harsh criticism for its lack of credibility. Among its critics were Ed Artis, the Special Forces operatives who Robin Moore interviewed, and many others. Behind the scenes, Jack was outraged that people were publicly questioning his carefully cultivated image of faux legitimacy. He believed that they were
That's good. That's what's hilarious. He's outraged by them questioning his lies.
damaging his reputation, and that they were the reason that Fox News parted ways with him as a regular commentator. In typical Jack fashion, he sued all of them, including his former hero, Robin Moore, Moore's girlfriend, Chris Thompson, and Thompson's parents for $4 million in damages. And he even sued Fox News for letting him go as a commentator. However, most of the lawsuits he filed were dismissed in court. During a deposition, Chris Thompson said that Jack's behavior was disturbing and erratic. He recalled seeing Jack destroying the inside of his own house with a samurai sword. He also said that he witnessed Jack choking his...
If you call that erratic.
Wow.
But also, a part of this show also has a little... We dip our toes occasionally into the world of the Dabbleverse when we try to compare the con men and the grifters to the same activities and threats that we get from one Mr. John Melendez. Who else is... who else do we know who is also threatening to sue on a completely baseless lawsuit because they think it's just simply going to scare someone.
Right.
There's such a crossover with these grifters. But you know what's funny is that this guy, it's funny. It's like, I can't help but think that this guy was so innovative. If he would have focused this into a legitimate tax-paying job, he might have been successful. You know, he just didn't. And I'll tell you what, John would have never been as motivated and proactive as this guy.
No, anybody else to do the work for him.
Yeah, this guy was so good at being a terrible human being. Stewie Felt, thank you so much for the $2. Want to bet this guy got USAID money? Oof, 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 oof. Oh, you know what I have not been doing tonight? I have not been playing. I have not been playing any of our little bumpers. Let's see. What do we want to do? How about this one?
Thank you for the super chat.
Oh my God!
Hilarious.
Have you seen Miami Connection, American Cupcake?
I have not seen Miami Connection. I'm familiar with Low Blow and Miami Connection and James Fong. I am familiar with his movies. But
No. This is not James Fong. This is YK Kim.
YK Kim.
Oh.
Okay, so when you have a chance, we watched it.
Yeah.
And it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. You should check it out. It is one of the greatest. It is the greatest of all ninja rock musicals.
Amazing. Give me a second. I'm going to grab a can of soda.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Hey, Luigi?
Yeah.
I'm going to put a link right now in chat. I
Okay.
found the book on archive.org.
Which book?
Oh.
His
So,
book? Oh,
yeah.
Jack Idema's
If
book?
anybody wants to read it.
Oh,
So,
my God.
'cause fuck that. He
great.
gets no one's money. So I'm gonna, there you go.
That's
so
great.
anybody who wants to read the book for free, I just put the link in.
Yeah. I feel like, you know what I should have done? If I really would have thought it. Okay, Stevie J, that is a great question because that is on the list. Had to run it through the copyright fairies to see if it would get if it could get struck. Here's the thing. It is copyrighted material, but from what I understand, YouTube is still going to allow it. So going to have to run a couple of experiments on that one. But we also can't show tits. So it would have to be edited. There's a lot of tits in that movie. I really got to make use of my Rumble channel. That's what I ought to do.
Yeah.
All right. So what I was saying earlier was that I needed to. It's really funny. How many other content creators on YouTube are like, we can't show tits? Rumble. All right. What I should have done is created little like moments to catch people up on this story because it's so unbelievable and crazy. I gotta say, if I was like given a quiz, I don't even know that I could pass it right now. He went to Afghanistan, posed as a Green Beret, was running militias, sued Steven Spielberg, and destroyed his own house with a samurai sword. Okay, you're all caught up.
Technically, he went after Bin Laden and Spielberg.
Yes.
1 and 2 on the list.
Yes. And again,
Kill Bill list.
Again, haven't got to the crazy shit yet.
Right, and that Jack forged a letter using Fox News stationery in order to submit it as evidence in his lawsuit against them.
Oh yeah, and he faked charities and collected money from them. Spent time in jail, or in prison for mail fraud.
He stayed busy.
This guy had like something going on every day. I was just saying, Cupcake, that if we were to like at this moment like offer a quiz on everything that's happened so far, I don't know that I could pass it. Like it's just so much information. Yeah.
Just pick any ridiculous
After spending
answer.
2 years in the United States, Jack
Ding Lizard, I believe it was 2002.
returned to Afghanistan. When Jack returned to Afghanistan in April of 2004, he brought along 2 Americans who were on his payroll named Ed Caraballo and Brent Bennett. Ed Caraballo was a CBS cameraman and 4-time Emmy Award-winning journalist. Brent Bennett was a 28-year-old former paratrooper who met Jack in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Jack had a lot of money banked up from the success of the Hunt for Bin Laden book, as well as from fake charities he inserted into its pages, and also from the settlement money from his lawsuit. So as soon as he landed in Afghanistan, Jack rented a house in Kabul to turn it into a
desert war zone. A red fucking parka.
Yeah, yeah. That's weird. I mean, again, this guy was all about trying to look the part or look cool or look like an action hero. Yeah. He's probably sweating his balls off in it, just being like, oh, but it looks so good.
No, that's a reporter in the jacket because he had it earlier. That was the guy from Australia.
Oh.
The red parka.
Oh, gotcha.
Headquarters for his own paramilitary unit called...
Okay, so this is where we're going to start to get into the actually weird shit.
Oh, it's starting now, huh?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now he's back in Afghanistan, and he's renting a home, okay?
Task Force Saber 7.
For Task Force Saber 7. Remember, that is such a stupid fucking name. Task Force Saber 7 is the
Task
group.
Force Saber 7 is the G.I. Joe, was what GoBots was the Transformers.
Yes, yes. Task Force Saber 7 could easily make a t-shirt the same way that Dragon Sound could.
Right. Yeah. Hot Zone Kill.
Yeah.
Rented the house under the false pretense that it was for an import-export rug business, and tacked a sign in front of it that said Universal Exports in order to conceal its true name, which was the Honeycomb Hideout.
He is Hideout.
He has convinced the authorities that he is running an import-export rug business out of this home and put up a sign that said rug business.
The sign was written in crayon.
Yes,
not a military base. Exporters.
Yes, totally not Americans.
The Honeycomb Hideout. It's like,
yeah, he should just call himself the Honeycomb Kids if he's gonna go with the whole fucking breakfast cereal like the commercial.
Hideout.
Thank you for the $5, man. Thank you so much. There was the dummy that was biking through Iran this week in a Michigan hoodie that had to escape. Oh, I haven't heard that.
What?
Oh yeah, you hear about them all the time. They go to and then they end up dead.
That's the the predictable outcome that I would expect for that. If there's any other way that story ends, I'd be surprised.
Right.
Man, that's crazy. All right, here we go.
Following that, Jack hired 4 Afghans to join Task Force Saber 7. One of the many he hired was a translator named Abdul Wahid, who was sent to Jack by Afghanistan's then defense minister, Mohammed Qaim. Jack had a lot of high-level contacts in Afghanistan, but we'll get to that later. Jack had imitation U.S. military uniforms made to outfit his paramilitary group, and he also bought weapons.
Yep. So, now we're really diving deep into the stolen valor because he does not have the credentials, he does not have the qualifications, he does not have the authorization to be there on behalf of the U.S. military. So, you improvise. You make your own costumes.
And with that,
that's his first. Like, he's making fake uniforms now, so this is bad news now.
This is crossing over into you're not going to recover from this. Yeah,
right.
It's hardcore cosplaying.
Yes, yeah, it is totally.
Bin Laden was on. Jack said that a year earlier he had received information from Al-Qaeda members, who he said that he had flipped into intelligence assets, that they had located the possible whereabouts of Osama bin Laden, and that they had learned of a plot to drive 12 taxi bombs into the U.S. Embassy and the U.S. Air Base in Kabul. Jack claimed that when he informed the
Now here's the thing, we don't know that any of that's true. He's reporting this as true. If he's lying, he's lost his goddamn mind. Like he is now gambling with the lives of civilian people, unassociated civilian people. So if this is a lie, like, this dude's karma is just in a very bad place. Fuck this guy.
In his face.
Like, it's funny because some part of me wants to kind of think maybe he heard something and it had a kernel of credibility, but we don't know. We don't know anything. It could have all been lies.
Well, the thing is with that is when you make up a lie, they were like, yeah, but there was no terrorist. You could be like, exactly. You know what I mean?
And I guess that's the perfect environment for a con man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't prove that it happened, but you can't prove that I didn't stop it from happening.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
Prove a negative. You know.
Right.
That's that's kind of what Frank Dukes would do.
Right.
It's absurd. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Cupcake.
No. I was just saying, like, yeah, prove that I didn't stop all those terrorists.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my God.
There were no 12 car bombs. You're welcome.
Exactly. What about those 36 terrorists that tried to enter the United States and kill 36 governors at that summit?
Exactly.
That never happened. You're welcome.
Exactly.
For sure.
I'm a ninja. I went black.
Right.
Pentagon and the CIA about this. They told him to deal with his old nemesis, the FBI. After much foot-dragging by the FBI, who Jack described as far too bureaucratic and stupid to stop Al-Qaeda, Jack decided to travel to Afghanistan to stop Al-Qaeda terrorists and to capture Osama bin Laden.
He doesn't want to trust the FBI, but we have now since learned it was because he blamed them for him going to prison earlier. Stewie Feld, thank you. You're being very generous tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you for the $2. At least with Frank Dukes, nobody got hurt. You know what? I guess you're right. I guess you're right on that one. Yeah. And no one was ever in jeopardy of getting hurt either. Yeah. This guy jeopardized people's lives.
A bunch of times.
Yeah, a lot of times.
People too.
Yeah.
And like, even with like, let's say, that we could pretty much think that he did lie about it. Let's say he brought that up and like, let's say they put resources towards that. Like, oh, nothing's fine. And then when it finally, the whole boy who cried wolf kind of thing, that they were like, oh, well, we're fine. And then next thing you know, the next day, one cargo gets through. Because if you're looking for 12 and like one gets through,
I mean, yes, the probability of shit that he brought into that world, of danger and yeah, just risk. Ugh.
It himself. According to Jack, after he told a mysterious Pentagon insider of his plans, they told him, quote, "We can't help you in the United States, and we can't get you into Afghanistan. You get in, and then we'll work together." Within 2 weeks of landing in Afghanistan, Jack arrested a man who he called a top Taliban official and handed him over to U.S. coalition forces in the middle of the night on May 3rd, 2004. The coalition forces released the prisoner 2 months later after they determined that he was not...
Yeah, so...
Oh, Keith is his middle name. That's why he went by Keith.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, again, I'm speechless. I'm speechless.
Who Jack claimed to be. Following that, Jack said that he was tipped off about a terrorist named Ghulam Saki, who was traveling on a bus that was heading to Kabul and possibly loaded with explosives. Jack claimed that he warned the office of Lieutenant General William Boykin, who at the time was a U.S. Deputy Undersecretary for Defense. When Boykin's office didn't reply fast enough, Jack sprung into action and decided that he would stop the bus himself. Jack and the rest of Task Force Sabre 7 then intercepted the bus, unloaded its occupants, and lined everyone up.
So basically what we're hearing here is that he gave a warning to some people and said, I heard that this bus idea is going to put a bunch of people at risk, and no one gave him any credibility. So he decided to grandstand and pull over a bus himself.
Up while sticking guns in their faces. He then arrested the suspected terrorist, Saki, blackbagged him, and stuck him in the back of a car to be taken to Task Force Sabre 7's headquarters.
Okay. Hulkamania asks a great question. Yeah, but how many hot chicks did he bang?
I'm gonna say not many because he's short.
We're gonna learn. We're gonna learn way too much about how many hot chicks he banged.
The honeycomb hideout.
I can't take that seriously.
I know. Hey, Corndiff, something.
Hideout. It's like, what's the name of your hideout? Ours is super secret center.
Yeah, Corndiff, something's up with your video.
Yeah,
sure
it's a little choppy. I'm still here. Though. Can you
Okay.
still hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
I can hear you
cool.
fine.
Yeah.
Good.
A little choppy.
The honeycomb hideout. It's just
The honey.
I'm making the brownie bunker. Wait.
I think of
secret room.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Luigi.
No. It's all good.
Now I'm really mad.
Get mad.
Now I'm really mad.
I was gonna say his voice. I mean, I have a nasally voice, but Jesus, this guy.
Wait, he seriously just said that?
Yeah, that was him.
You're grinding my gears.
He said he broke a mirror. That's what he said. He goes, "Oh, I haven't broken a mirror in 7 years," or whatever he said.
I haven't broken a mirror in 7 years. Now I just broke another one. Jesus Christ.
After days of interrogation, Saki gave Jack the name of a 30-year-old taxi driver named Sarajan and said that he was in charge of a plan to assassinate top Afghan officials.
Interrogate these people.
What are you saying? What do you say?
Under what authority does this guy have to interrogate these people?
Ninja authority.
All right. No, I of course, ninja authority. Yes, of course.
Just like again, this is the only show we've ever done where I literally feel like I'm completely unqualified to even have an opinion because it's so goddamn unbelievable.
Hours later, Jack and Task Force Saber 7 raided Sarajan's house.
Operation Hot Zone Secret Force 7. Out of the honeycomb hideout.
Operation, we're gonna look totally cool.
We look badass.
Operation Twinkie Takedown.
And here's what's also funny is when you see the video of him holding a gun, I was not in the military. I do not know procedure. I'm not going to even pretend to know anything like that.
Right.
But something looks off about how he's handling the gun.
Yeah, well, it's like how I would hold a gun.
Exactly. It's like how I would hold a toy gun. And like I can't even put my finger on it. Maybe somebody who's been in the military is in the chat could explain it. It just like if I saw him, I'd be like, Are you doing that right? Like, I mean, something's off. I can't even. It's like an uncanny valley. But watch closely. We're gonna see him holding a gun.
What's this hiding in your rice bag for? What's that hiding in your rice bag for? Magazines too.
Fuck you, shortstop.
Inside Sarajan's house, they found some traces of explosives and a detonator hidden inside of a rice bag.
So this is where things go wrong from a moral standpoint. Is that yes, he's bullshitting. Yes, he had no authority to do this, but he did find bomb making equipment, and that starts to lend him some credibility.
In the footage, Swedish and German coalition forces inspect Sarajan's house. Later, the bomb disposal team searches Sarajan's taxi, and they find more explosive residue. Then Jack took Sarajan to Honeycomb Hideout. He said that he then spent 18 to 20 hours a day interrogating his two prisoners and attending meetings with Afghan security officers and government officials. Jack repeatedly asked his prisoners who their targets were. The two names that are brought up are the former Afghan Minister of Education, Yunus Konini, and Afghan Defense Minister, General Mohammed Fahim. In footage recorded by Jack's cameraman, Ed Caraballo, the former Afghan Minister of Education thanks Jack for thwarting the attempt on his life.
So he convinces, after torturing these people, they give up names. And he somehow is able to communicate those names to the real people, and now they're on video thanking him for saving their lives. The worst thing you could do for a con man is give him credibility.
Yeah.
Stewie felt, you got to be kidding me. Another $5. Thank you. Turns out Bin Laden was in the Big Rock Candy Mountains the whole time. I agree. Thank you, Stewie Felt. I hope you're enjoying this. So yes, this is the worst thing that could happen from an ethical standpoint.
Right.
He gets acknowledged and is now told that he's an effective
ninja.
Yeah, what's the title he's going under? Counter, whatever, fuck, bullshit, nonsense.
And I'm thankful for what you have done.
A few days later, Task Force Saber 7 raided the house of an Afghan Supreme Court judge named Mohammed Sadiq, aided...
Just every time they say Task Force Saber 7, I think like this background, the skeptical robot background, I think of like a synthwave,
right?
Synthwave 80s cartoon show. Task Force Saber 7.
To me, it sounds like something from Team America.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
by German and Swedish coalition forces and Afghan police.
Task Force Saber 7 is like the action figures you buy at the dollar store when you could
yes, the G.I. Joe knockoffs.
Yeah. That's what's on the package.
that you buy at the at the drugstore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so look right here. Watch. That's what I was talking about right there. The way he's holding this gun.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get back to it here.
Inside Sadiq's home,
it's the footwork. That's what it is. The footwork is like he's about to.
Hold on. He just fucking pranced around that corner.
He did.
And
yes.
While not even aiming at anything, he was just like sweeping the gun around a wall.
That's what it is.
Or checking his back corners.
Yeah, I mean,
while skip hopping.
It's probably he's probably doing it for a photo op, but still you want to at least look like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, but and if everything you do is to look like essentially for a photo op, everything is for a photo op, you'd think he'd be good at that by now.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, he's about to trip, honestly. There's like a little moment there, like his feet got so close together.
You know what it is?
Inside Sadiq's home, they found a poster of a terrorist leader.
Yeah.
As well as explosives.
I know what you're saying with the gun thing. Like, I don't have any military background, but it's just like, it's like if you're outside and someone wants to fight you, by the way they put their fist where you're like, oh shit, what the hell? Or like, like, you can instantly tell. Like, I've never been in the boxing ring, but I can tell if someone puts their hands up in a certain way.
I'm about to get my ass handed to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I could just kick this guy in the chest and this fight is over.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
okay.
So it's the same thing with that.
So Stewie felt the skipping is kind of sus. He took CQB training. Can you tell me what CQB is? But must have forgot.
Close quarters combat.
Close quarters. Okay. All right.
That's what I thought. CQC. Yeah. I was just.
Wait. Close quarters. What's the B stand for?
Combat. I don't fucking know.
You almost had me.
Close quarters battling.
But yeah, just from a layman who has no military experience, I look at that and I think that just doesn't look right. Like even a Hollywood actor wouldn't have done that. Like
holy shit, I was right. Close quarters battle. I was just joking.
Oh,
I pulled it out my ass. I just looked it up.
There's detonation devices and bomb schematics.
Import for record for bombs. Explosive.
After arresting Sadiq, as well as his two brothers and 3 additional men, Jack dined with the Kabul police chief, Baba John, as well as the head of the National Directorate of Security, NDS, which is Afghanistan's intelligence agency, and the Minister of Education's brother.
Papa John's.
It was weird. That's what I heard too, honestly.
Like the Papa John's font for like PETA.
Following that, the Supreme Court judge's car was driven out into the desert.
Look how short he is.
What's that?
Look how short he is when he was walking with that group of people.
Yeah. So, okay, so what he's saying is they arrested a Supreme Court judge for, I don't know anything about their court system, but then they took the car out into the desert.
Disposal experts who confirmed that the car tested positive for explosive residue. Task Force Saber 7 had 8 prisoners in Honeycomb Hideout who they tortured and interrogated for days while Ed Caraballo filmed. However, Jack's decision to arrest an Afghan Supreme Court judge would come to bite him in the ass.
So this is where Jack finally has a little bit of justice.
Wanted posters with Jack's mugshot were displayed all over Kabul by U.S.
and 7 sabers. The ratio was off.
Yeah, and he arrested a Supreme Court judge. So now, essentially, we don't really know why, but now he's a wanted criminal because what I'm assuming happened is somebody said, who the fuck is this guy? And they decided to do some digging, and now he's a wanted criminal in Afghanistan.
Why is Borat arresting people?
Yes.
Right.
So just here we go.
This development enraged Jack, who immediately called the office of Lieutenant General William Boykin and threatened to go to the press if the wanted posters were not removed in 12 hours.
You think I would let in prison is a problem? When they find out that the guy that captured all the terrorists that were going to blow up the room, you should be giving me a fucking DSM.
So,
oh no.
I cannot fathom what goes through someone's mind when they do this. Again, he is not there under the authority of the United States or the military, but he calls a military general and says, "Hey, I need you to step in and get them to stop hunting me as a criminal." And the guy on the other line is like, "Who are you?" And then what's weird is how this guy always has a camera on him. But now he's telling this major general, "Hey, I've been working really hard here. You should give me a medal." He just fucking said you should be giving me a medal because I'm doing the job of the military regardless if I have their authority. I mean, that took some fucking balls. Some part of me admires it.
That's balls, all right, for sure.
Yeah.
Instead, they put a wanted poster out for me. You think
I don't know who you are.
On July 5th, 2004, the Honeycomb hideout was raided by Afghan police forces who arrested every member of Task Force Sabre 7. They were arrested after Jack called Kabul police chief, Baba John, to turn over the prisoners. After the raid, the police found 8...
So he calls the police like, "I got prisoners for you."
Wow.
And they're like, "Yeah, all right, where are you? Let us come pick them up." And he's like, "I'm at the Honeycomb hideout with my Task Force Sabre 7 buddies in the treehouse." And they're like, "We're on our way, sir."
So is it like, how could he not think that would go that way?
Because look,
Unless he's just delusional.
I'm going to guess, yes, delusion and buying his own bullshit and thinking that he is now the person that he claimed to be. He really, he starts at some point buying his own bullshit, thinking, "I've said that I am military counterintelligence," or whatever the fuck he said, so much, it's true.
Well, the fact those guys thanked him was all he needed.
Exactly. All the credibility. That's exactly what I was saying. That's the worst thing you could do for a con man. Africa in the 20th century. Thank you, Stu Feld, for the $5. There were guys like this that became warlords for a minute. Again, I don't know that I would have believed you had I not heard this story. I mean, this story is just so unbelievable. I promised Cupcake that I was going to blow your mind with this story.
Mind blown, dude. Mind blown. 100%.
And also, I want to now give you an update on the time. We are halfway through it.
Out.
Yeah.
Holy
8
crap.
Afghan men, some hanging by their feet, bound and hooded in Task Force.
Oh my God.
Hanging by their feet. He was torturing people in the name of the U.S. government. He was a security guard.
Very effective security guard.
Sabre 7's HQ.
He took his job very seriously.
They also found torture equipment.
I would love to find an employee like that.
Yeah.
Businesses always hope for a proactive go-getter.
Now, did he influence Guantanamo Bay, or did Guantanamo Bay influence him?
Right.
Which one came first?
Guantanamo Bay is going to play a part in this.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh my God.
Jesus, I'm a fucking psychic.
You'll see what I mean. Just it influences how he gets treated because the Guantanamo Bay was in close quarters of when this happened. So you'll see what I mean.
Bloody clothing, handcuffs, and blindfolds. The prisoners said that they were tortured and forced to confess to crimes that they had not committed. After Afghan police arrested the members of Task Force Sabre 7, they were taken to a jail run by Afghanistan's Intelligence and Security Service, the NDS. Jack and his cohorts all claimed that they were taken to an underground torture chamber and were subsequently tortured by Afghan officials. In court, cameraman Ed Caraballo showed a large bruise on his foot, which resembled an injury sustained from the traditional Middle Eastern punishment called falaka, which involves beatings to the bottom of the feet. Jack's prisoners were also turned over to the NDS, who questioned them. According to Jack's former prisoner...
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Oh, wait, you know what? I'm sorry. I actually meant to hit mute.
They were also questioned by the FBI. They were all released after 15 days, while Jack, Bennett, and Caraballo were charged with kidnapping, having a private jail, torture, robbery, and entering Afghanistan without a visa.
Jack has been tortured. Mr. Caraballo has an injury to the bottom of his foot. The food leaves something to be desired.
When complaining about prison conditions in a foreign prison, and you say, the food's not good, that seems like a real unfocused priority.
You know, foot bruising on paper doesn't sound too bad. When you see the picture, I'm like, oh, fuck, that looks painful.
Have you ever seen, what's that, Midnight Express about Billy?
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, that's what, there's a scene where they beat the shit out of the bottom of his feet.
They make him walk the Legos.
They also, like, raped each other. And so, like, yeah, the food stinks. Yeah. Oh,
it must have been really fucking bad food.
The fact that rape wasn't at the top of this list. Man, the food stinks.
2.5 stars. Would have been 3 stars if the food was better.
It's not a situation that one would want to be in. I think it's had a psychological toll on all of them, and I know I could not have withstood it for the last 2 months.
This is one of my favorite parts of this whole thing, and you're going to see exactly how this resembles every Dabbleverse locale. This guy who has made an entire life's worth of grifts, lies, cons, juggling lie after lie after lie, is now being taken into a court because of his lies, and he's asked by the press his side of the story.
None of you tell the truth. You all fucking lie. So
he's accusing the press of being liars.
Oh my God. That is everybody in the Dabbleverse, dude.
Yes. And that one scene is where I just was like,
wow,
this is fucking amazing. I mean, and how just predictable is it that the person who's that people always accuse you of what they are capable of doing. You know, just now I'm not gonna tell you my story. You're lying.
Right. You can lie anyway.
Yeah, you are going into this courtroom right now because of lies you told. But I'm the liar? All right.
What say you, news reporter?
Yes.
Press lies.
The press lies.
Jack, who are you working for, man?
We were working for the U.S. counterterrorist group and working with the Pentagon and some other federal agencies.
You're working with U.S.
Okay, so do you hear his answer there? The U.S. counterterrorist group. I don't know that that's an official title. And then he says...
He didn't say for, he said with.
Yes, and then he also says with some other entities also.
Come on, you never heard of the UTCG?
Pentagon. I did mention the Pentagon.
Yeah, just keep it vague. Keep it real vague.
Knowledge, with U.S. government knowledge.
We were in touch with the Pentagon sometimes 5 times a day at the high.
Now, their question is, again, were you here under the Pentagon's authority is essentially the question they're asking.
Yeah.
And he says, we called them several times.
I was saying, technically, he's not lying. If he keeps calling them, he is quote unquote in touch.
In touch with them, correct.
Like, there might be someone's job who's been like demoted, was like, you got to deal with this guy every day. That's your job, to answer his calls.
What we see is that these reporters aren't very good at asking direct questions. Yeah. Were you in contact? We called them accidentally when we tried to order pizza. Yep. Yeah.
Highest level every day.
They've denied that. They've denied you completely.
Well, we're prepared to show emails and correspondence and tape recorded conversations that show that's not true.
Why did the coalition put out that email denying any knowledge, denying that you had any links to U.S. military, U.S. government?
Because they're jealous.
We do not know why that is, but we do know that some of the guys we took were extremely high-level terrorists.
How do you feel about being sort of let go by the Americans?
Well, there you go. That's the quote, my dear.
The trial began in late...
If there's ever a movie made about this, I think Ray DeVito could play this guy.
July 2004 in Afghan courts.
Can I just say, now you say Ray DeVito
documentary
real quick? He DM'd, he DMs when he has his show on, and he's
Yeah.
going to have Corndiff and the potato on, apparently.
Right.
That was his DM earlier this evening.
There's never gonna be a movie. He wrote a book, and he's gonna want too much money for the rights to this story. So,
Stewie Felt.
Direct, right?
Stewie Felt. Okay, Stewie Felt, you got a very good ear. There's something a little off about what he said there. Stay tuned.
Filmmaker expected amnesty due to his status as a journalist, but none came. It was argued that since Caraballo was being paid by Jack, he was not working in the capacity of a journalist. However, human rights organizations argued that the men would not get a fair trial due to how new the Afghan legal system was, as it had only been established that same year. Here's Caraballo's lawyer speaking about the state of the Afghan legal system in 2004.
You look like the bad guy from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Legal system yet. The International Commission of Jurists commissioned to study.
So yeah, that's actually a really big part of the story, is that they were still writing the laws down and they didn't know how to prosecute this case.
That came to that conclusion. Amnesty International has expressed concerns. Human Rights Watch has expressed concerns. With that as a foundation, this was not a trial. There were hearings.
They've expressed concerns. Then I told them what he did, and they said, yeah, okay, whatever. Best of luck.
That were scattered about. The rules that have been generated in Afghanistan were not followed.
The trial was a mess. There was only one good microphone, which was passed along to whomever was speaking. Jack smoked cigarettes, made constant interruptions, and often stalled the proceedings by making statements to the press. The judge's behavior was questionable as well. He interrupted the defense team's lawyers, telling them that they could not read their full statements. None of the witnesses were cross-examined. None of the 3 Americans were given copies of their charges in English. Brent Bennett did not have a lawyer, and Jack was not permitted to choose his own translator. During the trial, Jack's former prisoners testified that they were apprehended by gunpoint, forced to wear thick black hoods, held prisoner, and tortured by Jack and his task force. They said that they were hung by their feet and doused with extremely hot and cold water, and also starved and waterboarded. One former prisoner pointed to Jack's cameraman, Ed Caraballo, and said that he tried to suffocate him with a plastic bag. A torture victim named Saki said that Jack and his cohorts beat him before they...
The cameraman was engaging in the torture. It just seems odd, where he's just like, hey, look, we're one man down. You mind putting a bag over this guy's head and beating him? All right.
Even questioned him. He said that he repeatedly told Jack that he did not know how to make bombs, and in response, Jack tortured him in the shower with hot water. After they threatened to kill him unless he spoke up, he said that he blurted out the name of Sarajan, who he said he knew since he was a child. There was a sense that the 3 Americans were left out to dry by the US government, which chose to let them be tried under the Afghan legal system instead of extraditing them and letting them stand for trial in American courts. The most likely reason for this was that Jack and Task Force Sabre 7 were arrested for detaining and torturing individuals at the worst possible time. Only a few months earlier, in late April 2004, news broke that Iraqi prisoners at the Abu Ghraib...
This is what I'm saying, is that because of the Abu Ghraib thing, America didn't want to be seen as bailing them out in order to bring them to the U.S. to have a trial. So they just said, sorry, man, bad PR. You're, whatever they give you, you're stuck with.
Detention facility were being severely tortured by U.S. military personnel who could be seen in appalling photographs, casually smiling while humiliating and abusing detainees. This erupted into a major PR disaster for the U.S. war on terror. So a few months later, when Jack and Task Force Sabre 7 were accused of running a private prison and torturing Afghans, the U.S. government immediately put out a statement saying,
I would treat with a great deal of skepticism any claim by Mr. Idema that he was working for the U.S. government. I can tell you absolutely that he did not work for the coalition. He was not in our employ at any time. We did not give him taskings or missions.
However, Jack adamantly claimed that he was working with the CIA and the U.S. Defense Department in order to catch suspected al-Qaeda agents and turn them over to U.S. or NATO forces.
So to some extent, I don't know what you would call this. Let's just call it the secret agent defense, where you can potentially say, you know, the CIA is denied working with you. Well, of course they would.
Right. How legal would that defense be? Like, how far could you get with that? Do you think?
Nowhere, and especially not in a Muslim country. Yeah.
They deny any knowledge of you. Of course they do. I'm a secret agent. What else would you expect?
I'm their worst nightmare.
I've gone black.
Yes, I went black and never went back.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey. Mammy.
Yeah. Oh, damn it, you beat me. That's what I do.
And phone with Donald Rumsfeld's office, with his Deputy Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, and with Heather Anderson, 4-star 5-officer level at the Pentagon.
Jack also claimed that the FBI had confiscated hundreds of documents, videotapes, and files, which he could have used as exculpatory evidence. And surprisingly, this was true. The FBI, which, from what I understand, shouldn't have any jurisdiction in Afghanistan, seized all of Jack's materials and held on to them for 21 days.
Additionally, there have been problems with reviewing the evidence. These problems were made worse, and the integrity of the evidence compromised by the Federal Bureau of Investigation agents removing...
Now, I want to make sure we understand that. The FBI does not have any jurisdiction where he was. They were there to investigate because it involved Americans, and they took shit. Some people who might be skeptical and maybe even a little conspiratorial might suggest that they sandbagged him because they wanted this problem gone.
I can see that.
Seems logical.
Reviewing the evidence and holding it for 3 weeks.
Once the FBI got there and looked at the evidence, they then found out by the documents that there were tons of documents that showed contact between us, the Pentagon, the CIA, and the FBI, and ISAC. Us, and the documents and videos showed that we were in phone conversations in meetings, and there were lots of documents back and forth between us, the CIA, the FBI, and the Department of Defense.
The FBI eventually returned Jack's material midway through the trial, but he and his defense team claimed that a lot of evidence was missing and or damaged. Jack believed that his arrest and subsequent sentencing was due to the FBI's vendetta against him. After the FBI returned some of his materials, Jack tried to present his case in court that he was in fact working on behalf of the US government by showing tapes and other files. One tape showed that Jack was in contact with the office of Lieutenant General Boykin, former US Deputy Undersecretary for Defense. On the tape, Jack speaks to Lieutenant General Boykin's secretary, George Shim, who promises Jack that someone from the DIA would call him back on his cell phone.
So, General Boykin that you called, I gave you the information. Well, I'm going to have somebody DIA contact you on your cell number, all right? Just give me a couple minutes.
George, I am taking out the whole cell. I'm telling you, you're not going to believe it. It's so funny how I did it. I walked in one bomber to the other bomber, pulled off his mask and said, identify.
Now again, I'm not a military man, but I'm going to guess, and I'm willing to bet money, that this isn't how conversations go in the military. You call someone and say, "You're never going to believe what I did today, Lieutenant."
Bro, you can tell by the tone of voice, like, oh yeah, I'll pass him. I'll let him know. I'll have somebody call you.
You got it. Exactly. And I'm typing it up on my imaginary typewriter right now.
Like, you don't hear the pen to paper? Come on, bro. Read the room. You can totally tell the sarcasm on the other side of the line.
Yeah, I'm taking them out. I am. You should come here and see me. And I got friends, and we're like partying all the time, and I bang so many hot chicks.
I'm going to put Jim on the phone, Jack, or I call DIA, and you talk to him, and you tell him.
All right, tell him to call me. Here, call me back. Tell him to call me back on this number, because I'm low on bucks.
Okay.
In another clip, Jack spoke to an employee from Lieutenant General Boykin's office after wanted posters of him were put up around Kabul. During the call, Jack was told by an unnamed official that they wanted to put a firewall between Boykin and Jack in order to shield Boykin away from press scrutiny and criticism.
So we were trying to put a firewall between your efforts and him because we didn't want to connect anything there, and there's no need to do that because he has no information you're doing.
And I'm so with you on that. I am so on your side on that. I am so much a believer.
You see, but that's not a defense. They're saying, hey, stop calling. They're saying, right. Yeah, that's not a defense. They're saying, we really don't want to associate with you. He's saying that they're saying that as some sort of proof that they previously did associate with them, which it's not. They're saying, leave us alone. That's not a defense.
This is literally the girl's friend's like, dude, she's not into you. All right, I'll let her know.
Yeah, I mean, that is it. And like, he's somehow saying, you see, they're saying that they want to put a firewall between me and him. No, yeah, because you're fucking insane.
Right.
I would say the same thing. You're crazy.
I love that man. I think he's probably one of the greatest men that America has ever had.
However, Boykin's office claimed that Jack's communication with them was vastly one-sided and sporadic. He was trying to establish a relationship with them, which they weren't interested in. It's unclear if the US government was being entirely honest about their involvement with Jack. Of course, he wasn't officially sanctioned to do the work he was doing, but it's obvious that the US was aware of Jack's activities well before his arrest, and were at least permissive of his operation until he became a PR disaster. Here's the facts. ISAF denied that they had any connections to Jack for 3 weeks before finally admitting that they accepted a prisoner from him. ISAF assisted Jack on 3 different raids, and Jack called up the Pentagon frequently to tell them what he was up to. Does this mean that Jack was truly a top-secret, covert, special forces big boss working for the Pentagon? No, not at all. Instead, what I'm trying to highlight is the questionable and guarded stance which the US government undertook when shit hit the fan.
Yes, Ferndog, don't call us, we'll call you.
Right.
Who would he talk to at the Pentagon? Like who is he giving updates to?
But
the secretary at the front office.
But the interesting thing is that, like, I feel like there would be so much more credibility to this if he established that there was a request or need for reports and calls.
Right.
He has not. He has only said, I kept calling them and they never, they talked to me and they took my messages. That does not qualify as evidence of you working for them.
I was gonna say, how about them like calling him back once, just once?
Yeah. I mean,
hilarious. I kept calling them, but they just never call me back. Like, what do you want me to do?
I kept calling the New York Yankees, and I kept calling them every day. So obviously, I work for them.
Not to come.
I mean, again, like I said earlier, we've talked about what was fueling this guy, and I think this guy was psychotic. Oh, actually, well, we're gonna learn.
My texts are marked as red, so I know she's into me.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane. This is really insane. I kept calling the head office of the New England Patriots. Obviously, I was a quarterback. Amazing.
Though it can't be proven that the US government supported Jack's mission, it is clear that Afghan officials did. Despite being charged with entering the country illegally, there's footage of the 3 Americans landing in Afghanistan and being greeted by Afghan officials.
They land in Kabul. Ed, who is doing a documentary, documents the entire thing on video, including handing over passports, filling out disembarkation forms. The head of the airport, a man named Haji Timur, hugging and greeting them. Jack Idema going up to the huge picture of Massoud, the Great Northern Alliance leader who was assassinated 2 days before September 11th, and kissing the poster. Baba John, the chief of the National Police and Kabul Police, being there and hugging Jack, if I remember correctly on the tape.
On September 15th, 2004, the judge returned after 5 minutes of deliberation and sentenced Jack and Ben.
5 minutes of deliberation.
He did say that, didn't he? 5 minutes.
3 minutes of those were smoking a cigarette.
Right. I got to make this look good. I can't go back in there right away.
I swear to God, that guy will not shut the fuck up. Smoking a cigarette.
I was thinking about too, like he always had a camera around, and digital wasn't a big thing back then. So how much fucking tape?
Man, that's a good question. And then that's another thing we've learned about people who have this paranoid mindset that is very cult-like. Joshua Fabia, L. Ron Hubbard. They love having everything recorded.
Yeah.
It is a very odd thing. I mean, I guess it's good marketing if you can sift through it, but so odd.
To 10 years, Karabalu to 8, and the Afghans assisting them to no more than 5.
So now they go to
This was Jack's cell in
Afghan
Policharki prison. Jack, Bennett, Karaballo, and their Afghan translator were isolated in one wing where they enjoyed a plush prison experience. They had a laptop, a phone, private bedrooms, bathrooms, satellite TV, plenty of alcohol, and a small staff of assistants, so their surroundings looked more like a suite than a prison cell. However, it wasn't always easy living. On 3 occasions, riots broke out inside of the prison. 4 guards and 1 Afghan member of Task Force Sabre 7 died in a firefight while protecting the 3 Americans. Bizarrely, it was the Supreme Court Judge Mohammed Sadiq, who Jack arrested and held prisoner for 12 days, that arranged for his cozy conditions. Sadiq told the Chicago Tribune, quote, "The government asked me what facilities we should give them. I told them the best. We should give them the best facilities possible."
I can't make sense of that. I
can.
Any. Oh, please.
Because it's to prove that look what they're doing in Guantanamo Bay and look what we're doing with our prisoners.
Oh.
So it's a big fuck you to the U.S. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's good.
For sure.
Man, look at that. Look at that smart little kitty cat.
Meow, bitches.
Some suggest that Jack had bribed Afghan officials in order to have an easier time while locked up.
It's an unusual treat. Help yourself into a prison.
Don't take a picture of me, goddammit, right now. I put my shit on. I'll fucking have to shoot you.
I don't have my face on.
Good. The place is a little fucking messy right now. This is Esmerai, Major Esmerai, with the first base of the Panjshir.
Fern Dog, I thought Muslims couldn't have alcohol around. You are correct. I don't really know. I'm guessing that they are, to what Gummi said, I'm guessing they're giving this allowance because they know these people aren't Muslim.
This is
all.
the prison?
Yeah.
It looks better than their honeycomb hide, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm guessing that's the policy behind it, but you're right. Yeah, they're not. The Muslims aren't supposed to drink alcohol, but I guess that there's no rule against giving it to infidel Americans. Suifel, thank you for the $5, man. Thank you so much. There's a great doc by Sebastian Younger about the North Alliance guy that was okay. Let's check that out. Thank you. All right. So now we are more than halfway done. And would you believe the story gets weirder? I told you guys. It's funny. As I was putting this on X, I was like, this story is going to blow your minds. I thought to myself, am I overselling it? And then I thought, I am not. I am not overselling this.
Oh, this is fucking.
Yeah. This story is going to get crazier, folks. Buckle up.
He was one of the guys captured with me. It's Dean Mohammed. He's very famous, Mujahideen. You can see he got the shit shot out of him by the Russians. So for 20 years, he's been fighting the Russians and Taliban.
You're living pretty comfortably here in prison. How can you explain that?
Northern Alliance. Do you think I'm a prisoner?
I think you're an unusual form of prisoner.
You think I'm a prisoner? Do you think I would really spend 5 years here? I have 6 Panjshir commandos in this fucking room right now. I could walk out of this prison in one snap of my fingers, and that is no bullshit. If I snap my fingers tomorrow, 1,000 Panjshir soldiers will come over these walls, and they'll kill every motherfucker in this prison that isn't Panjshir.
While in prison...
Then do it!
They prove it.
Jack started a website called Super Patriots and began publishing write-ups which promised to tell the real story about his case. He also posted photos, recipes, and videos.
Jesus Christ.
Super Patriots posting recipes.
Is that like the prison recipes you see on YouTube where they show you like 20 things to do with like ramen and like fucking honey buns?
Yes, the honey bun. I got someone in my family who was in prison, and like he talks about how valuable honey buns were in prison. That's funny.
Some of these videos still exist on a YouTube channel with several clips of Jack getting drunk while in prison.
Action. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? I'm your daddy, Superfly. Go to your cartoon side, cause I'm your daddy.
Jesus, those are full bottles.
This guy fooled the government.
I'm your daddy. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? I'm your daddy.
During his stay in prison, Jack predictably occupied much of his time by filing numerous lawsuits and appeals. Quote, Idema's attorneys filed a lawsuit in Washington in 2005 challenging his detention. Idema accused the State Department and FBI of illegally keeping him imprisoned in a deplorable Afghan prison, directing his torture, destroying evidence, and ultimately trying to have him killed. He said he had audio recordings and documents to back up his claims. While in prison, Jack started corresponding with a woman named Penny Alisi. In April of 2022, I traveled to Connecticut to meet Penny to conduct an in-person interview.
My name is Penny Alisi Idema. Penny Alisi Idema.
Did you hear that, folks? Did you hear that?
Wife?
Her last name is Idema.
I was married to Jack Idema. I saw him on being interviewed by Imus.
Did you hear that, Cupcake? This guy made it to Imus.
Oh my God.
before I went to work one morning, and I thought, wow, there's a real person that loves our country. That was when he was promoting the hunt for bin Laden.
A year later, when she learned that Jack was arrested in Afghanistan, she couldn't believe it.
I thought it was horrible.
So she got to work gathering items to send to Policharky prison, such as newspapers, magazines.
I'd make homemade CDs for them, music.
Soon, their relationship became romantic.
Playlists.
I said on my mixtape, shit was fire.
Right. Mixtape. That's what I was thinking of. Mixtape. Damn it. I thought playlist.
I got you, bro.
Mixtapes. Ah, boy.
Jack called me regularly from Policharky on sat phones. He was funny, he was witty, not really like sappy romantic, just like letting me know that I was going to be the one. And, you know, if he ever got out of there, you know, someday we would be together and we'd have great adventures.
Jack was released from prison in 2007 after being pardoned by Afghanistan's former president, Hamid Karzai. However, he refused to leave his cell.
He said he didn't want to leave until he made sure he got everything, and then he started with Nina. He wanted Nina to leave with him. And that seemed like a virtual impossibility.
Look, that guy didn't want to
how could
leave
you
an
get a dog
Afghan
out of
jail.
Afghanistan?
He'd rather stay in an Afghan jail than be with a woman.
Listen, though.
Nina was a dog who Brent Bennett found in prison and took care of. After Bennett and Caraballo were released from prison, Jack decided that he would send Nina to Penny, and he actually managed to pull it off.
Okay.
But Cupcake, keep that in mind, what you just said.
From his prison cell, he sorted out Nina's vaccinations, travel arrangements, and for her to be microchipped.
You know, he asked me if he sent Nina to me, would I take care of her? And of course. The first time I met him, I was so excited. I got there and it was like dum dum da dum. All I could see was him.
Soon, Jack rented a condo in Mexico, but in time he was evicted from it after he was arrested for selling drugs.
I wasn't there when it happened, but it was over drugs. He was arrested, he was put in jail. So I got the money together and I wired it and got him out. Typical Jack. Didn't tell me what happened, didn't thank me. Just told me that another fucking problem.
I can't imagine ever being in the position of asking someone, can you bail me out? And then when they ask what happened, you just say, another fucking problem. And that be an acceptable answer.
Another one for the toe. Like, so he's been in prison in the U.S., Afghanistan, and Mexico. That's
you got it.
People haven't been tourists in 3 different countries, let alone prison.
He goes, well, I met this guy, Gringo Dave, who's got a really great man.
Gringo Dave with the $5 super chat.
I laugh my ass off at that part too. And like, there's no real explanation here of how this transition happens. But he just says, I have a friend named Gringo Dave, and we could have his house. And that's all we know. That's all we know.
In Bacalar. He goes, it's in the jungle. It's still in Mexico, right? He goes, yeah. At the time, there was one road in and one road out. And it was a 3-hour drive in each direction. So he went down there and he fell in love with the place. And of course, it needed a lot of repairs, a lot of renovations. Jack worked night and day.
Gringo Dave.
Gringo Dave just gave them a house. I mean, like, I would love.
Guy.
What's that?
He's a nice guy. Everyone knows Gringo Dave.
Every Gringo Dave I've met has been a dickhead. I really wish this documentary had a kind of tied that loose end up, but they just don't. I don't know.
There was a housekeeper, there was bodyguards.
And they have housekeepers and bodyguard. Gringo Dave gives them a house with housekeepers
and bodyguards.
And bodyguards. Gringo Dave, folks.
There was a really good security system. It was great.
He has to be a wrestler for us.
Because he was always afraid somebody was going to try to scale it and come in and hurt us. We would have drills, but...
So now if you'll see, he's taking pictures inside the home, and he's wearing a typical Afghan... Oh, fuck, I can't remember what that's called.
Headdress.
The headdress. It's now a part of his attire.
She's got something kind of cultural going on, too, there.
I was about to say, it looks more Indian than...
Yeah.
But I would never know when they were coming either, just to make sure I was prepared. In the middle of the night, he would clap his hands like at 2 a.m, wake me up, say, we got to go, somebody's coming in. I didn't know. And he'd be like, we got to get right away, somebody's coming in. We're running down the steps. And of course, in the beginning, I thought it was real. And then I realized it was just drills, just to make sure we were prepared, because as the walls got higher, the paranoia grew with it.
So he starts waking her up to run her through evacuation drills and just says, we have to be prepared. We have to be ready. Again, this guy's just psychotic, okay? But he thinks someone's after him. And listen to this.
He would put a gun in a baggie to go take a shower. Nothing.
He needs a gun for the shower.
Who doesn't really? Let's be real.
Studiofeld, thank you for the $2. This is like some GTA stuff. Oh boy. Buckle your seatbelts.
Nothing made any sense. In his mind, it was all perfectly normal.
One of the only videos featuring Jack that's publicly available is called Jack Idema, Christmas Katana. In it, he studies the blade in his backyard.
So I think we're seeing the pattern here that he's losing his grip with reality to some extent, at least.
Oh my god.
But let's hear about Christmas Katana.
Is
that like Ernest Saves Christmas?
And if I didn't play with him, that's what he would say. Come on out and play with me with your sword. It's like little kids. You get dressed up and you play whatever cops and robbers. We'll play swords. And then just put the sword down and go in the house. And he'd start screaming, yelling, ranting, raving, and run around and start chopping everything up. And then he'd put the music back on and play swords by himself.
Remember the lawsuit that we heard about earlier where someone actually claimed he destroyed his own house with a samurai sword? We now have 2 people to corroborate that kind of behavior.
Oh my god.
All right. So now we're in Mexico at Gringo Dave's house.
Right.
This guy, I mean, this guy lived a life. I gotta hand it to him.
It was around this time that Jack got started on his next business venture, a military air cargo company called Star Aviation.
Jack, as usual, he had the attention of a nanosecond, and everybody was invested in this. They were totally on board. So what does he do? He just throws it all aside and decides to open up a boat thing, boat rides.
He purchased a pontoon boat and started.
So he starts getting investors for a military shipping company, and then just goes, man, let's give some tourists on a pontoon boat. Here we go. Stewiefield, thank you for the $5. Man, you're just really, really generous tonight. Thank you. While you were playing games, I was learning the blade.
I was learning the blade.
That's great. That is great. So
douchebag ponytail now too.
Yes.
Oh man.
Oh, this guy is just some piece of work. I mean, what a piece of garbage. All right. Hold on. I saw Mars celebrating 8 months of membership. Thank you so much, Mars. Appreciate it. All right.
Started a company called Blue Lagoon Boat Tours, and he made a website for the business called Oceans11Mexico.com.
The boat tours. It had to be.
Okay, hold on. I know that's funny. Okay, but listen to this next couple of sentences.
So wait, so who are the 11? You got the Saber Force 7. That's 7 people. his wife, Gringo Dave, the Katana. This is like
Task Force Saber, Ocean's 11.
Yes.
He's just pushing everything together. Bionic 6. Oh, what happened to Cupcake?
Oh man.
All right. So listen to this.
Based on Jack Sparrow. And, he had to act like, and he would actually stand in front of the mirror and act like that. Did I get it yet? I'm acting like him? Am I doing it right?
Jack flew a pirate flag over his compound, and he also started going by the name Jack Black. That's because it sounded like a cool pirate name to him, and not as a tribute to the famed comedic actor.
He needed ID.
So now he is a Jack Sparrow impersonator giving boat tours in Mexico. What a life. What a life. What a life.
To go get the electric bill, the utilities bill put in his name. So he couldn't think of anything, and then he thought black sounded really cool and dark, so he'd use it.
By mid-2008...
Again, back to what we were saying, is that he is obsessed with just looking cool.
Yeah. Wait, no. Technically, he went black.
Hey, there you go. That's true.
No. Yeah, no, he is obsessed with being cool.
Yeah.
Dude,
There you go.
And God, look at those teeth. Like they look like they're made out of butter.
He punches his parquet.
Stewie Feld, I'm with you, man. Some part of me is impressed. Some part of me admires this guy's hustle. If he would have focused all of this energy into just one legitimate business, he might have been a gazillionaire. But he just couldn't. I mean, like, everything he was doing had to be a lie, a grift. Oh, yes. My buddy Trucker Andy, who reminded me that pirates are the mortal enemies of ninjas. It is science. From a website. What was the name of the website, Andy? I'm blanking on it. Can you remind me what the website was? Real Ultimate Power? Was that it? Real Ultimate Power? But yes, they actually did declare that they were the pirates were the enemies of ninjas.
Jack had been living in Mexico for over a year, and nothing was working out. Star Aviation fell through, the boating business was not profitable, and he wasn't writing the book that he was given in advance for. Jack needed money, and luckily for him, he had a way to get it. His father, Herman John Idema, was 87 years old and in rough shape. Jack's father...
Okay, folks. Throughout these 2.5 hours we've been doing this, we have talked about a lot of bullshit scams that make this guy a piece of shit. Listen to this one.
No.
Father was born on August 21st, 1920, in Beacon, New York. He was a World War II veteran who fought in the Battle of Iwo Jima and became a builder and developer of exclusive neighborhoods in Poughkeepsie, New York. Jack was aware that his father would die soon, and he wanted to ensure that he would inherit his estate.
They had a falling out when I took Mr. Idema, the older Mr. Idema, down to see Jack. They were fighting, and all Jack wanted was for Mr. Idema to just sign the building over to Jack. And John didn't want to do that to Jack. He didn't want to give Jack the building. He still wanted it in his name.
Jack wanted to inherit a company called Isabeau Dakota. Isabeau Dakota functioned as a shell company to conceal Jack's assets from creditors. Jack's father had given the building to him for his business ventures sometime in the 90s.
Well, his father absorbed a lot of the costs because anything affiliated with Isabeau Dakota, his father didn't want a bad credit rating and he didn't want to have any problems with the law or anything. Yeah, he owned the building, but he let Jack do whatever he wanted to do with it. It's a building in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and it consisted of 3 different dwellings, if you will, inside of it. And one was the Ultimate Pet Resort, one was the Bat Cave, where his home was, and then the other part was the kennel. He rented it out to a church, and the plan is to get the church to renovate the whole thing, pay for everything, do it, and then evict them. That didn't happen at the end.
His plan...
What a bag of shit.
...was to rent a building to a church, get them to renovate it, and then evict them.
You know, a fact they brought up about his father would help explain some of this. Because if his dad was in the military, maybe it could have been one of those things where his dad never accepted him to so he wanted to impress Papa. So he did the whole military thing. Since he couldn't hack it in the army, he just made up the whole story to see if maybe they could finally bond. I mean, I ain't saying it's the right thing to do, but
I know. I
get the connection.
It would give a little bit of reasoning
right.
to all of these, unexplainable parts of this story. But yes, it didn't happen. Now, this part about the building is going to be very important. So I kept all that in. I did edit this thing a lot. This documentary is actually about I think it's about 2 hours long. I think I edited about a good solid hour out of it.
I'm gonna watch the whole thing after.
So we are now at the 48-minute mark. We got 20 minutes left, and here we go.
At the end, but that was his plan.
Jack came up with a plan to collect his inheritance. There were a few roadblocks which needed to be sorted out, such as his inability to step foot in the United States because...
All right, CVJ, I'm with you, actually. I need to know which denomination of church before making judgment. That's fair. That is fair. That is totally fair.
The legal troubles. Therefore, Jack decided to get married to Penny in order to put everything in her name and to sidestep any legal issues preventing him from collecting his inheritance.
Oh, my God.
So, because of credit issues... Now, there you go. That's what I was talking about. He's wearing that head thing again.
Uh-huh.
So, he convinces his wife to put all of these assets that he's inheriting into her name because I don't know why. It was because he was afraid of getting sued, and that if he was going to get sued, he wouldn't have to. Which actually, I think was wrong. They'd still be able to collect it if it's his wife, but whatever.
On November 21st, 2008, Jack and Penny held a wedding ceremony.
What's that?
Seeing him with he was like a white dude with a headdress in Mexico holding a katana. That's like when you hit random on character creation in a game.
Oh, did you hear the comment about the neighbor's house?
Yeah, there was like Japanese, right?
Yeah, he's in an Arab style house in Mexico next to a Japanese style house in Mexico. I mean,
I smell a sitcom.
Right. It is surreal. It's like a Dali painting. It is weird.
You sure it's not in the World Showcase of Disney World?
Yes.
It's Mexico right next to Japan.
Valor. 3 days later, Jack's father died.
I was president, and then technically I was in charge of everything. And then obviously, if something happened to me, then the lawyers and Jack would have everything.
Soon, Jack was living the lifestyle you'd expect from every insane, drug-addled American living in a compound in the Mexican jungle to have. Flush with the money he inherited from his father's estate, he started using large amounts of anything he could get his hands on, such as cocaine, heroin, and booze.
His dealings with the bizarre demographics of people that were coming in and out made it not happy. And that was also when his drinking and his drug use was increasing. So yeah, I would say that's when it got really bad.
In time, Jack lost interest in being intimate with Penny. He instead preferred to keep company with a young college student named Fernando and a transgender sex worker named Nancy.
He preferred to fuck the lizard. That's what I thought it was.
Did you hear that? He begins to have a relationship with a transgender, or with the guy named whatever his name was, and a transgender prostitute.
Hosting all-night orgies at his compound, which he advertised on gay hookup sites.
How did you feel?
He's gay.
Feel like when you actually realized that Jack was gay?
I guess it bothered me when I saw him making out with a man and he wasn't making out with me like that. I just felt like I couldn't compete. I definitely can't compete with men. Forget women. I couldn't compete with a man because I pretty much resigned myself to the fact that this was just a marriage in name only, and I had to think about it and decompress when I got back and figure out what my next move was going to be. Didn't realize that was going to probably be the last time I'd ever see him good, before he had his near fatal accident.
Good. Penny left Mexico with the intention of never seeing Jack again.
Yeah.
But then the exact same day that she landed in Connecticut, Jack got into a life-threatening car accident. In the hospital, Jack called Penny's phone and said this.
Just get a hold of Penny. This is their number. Stay on this number. You tape recorded this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I leave everything to Penny. You to manage it. Sell it. Sell pay the house.
That was actually 5 minutes long, part of this video. I just cut that out. He
Really?
just rambled and was like, she was right about everything. He's just rambling and like, he's like, give her everything. She deserves it. Like, just saying all this shit. I don't know. I don't really buy it. It sounded a little made up. Stewie felt, thank you for the $2. Mango? No touch the mango. Yes. I realized he was gay when I caught him sucking a dick. That's when I really had to accept it.
Was on my way back to America. On his way back to Bacalar, he had that accident, and everything changed from that point on.
A few days later, Penny returned to Mexico to take care of Jack and to help him rehabilitate. Jack started to abuse the pain medication he was prescribed to, as well as illegal drugs and alcohol. The situation was grim. Jack was miserable, bitter, unthankful, and constantly high. Penny was losing patience, and then she started to feel ill.
I was getting sicker, and he decided that I should go be tested for HIV. To my surprise, he wanted to get the same test. I thought that was odd. I thought all this was odd. We got tested, and the results came back, and they were positive for HIV.
In all of this shit that he has been doing,
oh my God, he gave her HIV.
He gave his wife HIV.
Holy shit.
Is there anyone in this world that is a bigger dickhead than this guy? Wow. I mean, what a piece of fucking shit. It's, he didn't do enough bad in the world. He gave his wife HIV.
The old high five.
And I wanted to make sure what I was hearing was proper because I didn't think it was right. But Dr. Dennis said that Jack was going to get worse, but I could go home and I could get better. And Jack freaked out. Jack just went ballistic. He took the phone, he broke it, and I honestly thought I was going to die. That was all I thought. I went home, I got to get away. I was quiet. I told just a select few people that I had this. Then I called up Jack and told him how sick I was, and I just collapsed. Jack wanted me down there immediately. He also didn't want me, and he kept saying, I hope you're not telling anybody. I hope you're not telling anybody. And of course, I did tell some people. Actually, what I did do was I started therapy with my local HIV/AIDS group, and I started going to support groups. I needed help. Helped me. You know, they were helping me, and all of them said, "Don't go back. Don't go back. He's evil. He's going to kill you. Don't."
Yeah, they were smart. they heard the story.
It just made me think of like Goodfellas. No, right over there. Just walk down more.
just down over there. No, a little further.
Little further.
Right.
Well, Nina and Tinka were there. I had to get them. Nina is the dog that was rescued from Afghanistan that came to me, and Tinka was our Mexican kitty. So in July, I made plans to go back. I walked into the house, and it was different. Everything was different. It wasn't clean like it used to be. There was dead flies everywhere. The door
naked men everywhere.
was broken.
Right.
Everything was dirty. You could smell sweat, alcohol. It was just disgusting.
Smells like sweat, alcohol.
Oh no!
That's what I assumed it would smell like.
That's the smell of gay sex, honey.
He was happy to see me, but his eyes were just black. He looked like he had been up for days. He reeked of alcohol, cigarettes. Natalie,
Get the dog checked out for AIDS too. Not a bad idea.
Telling me other people were coming too. So everything was there and they were getting worse and everybody was still coming in. All of the sex fast constant, it was worse than ever. Okay.
He's continuing to have orgies.
What the fuck?
I mean, this is the type of person I really, really do wish that there was hell for.
After he found out he was positive?
Exactly. And she's saying she returned to find out that he had not stopped and was now actually escalating and having these big gay orgies.
Maybe.
Right.
This is how he's choosing to be an assassin in his later years.
Is that what going black means?
Long game.
I just. Wow.
I mean, what else? I mean, this guy literally checks every single box for horrible things.
Right, I saw that.
Way to go, Andy. Yeah. I just
bag of shit.
Bag of shit. And like not human. Like this guy's not human. Like this is so incredibly nuts.
He could have Tommy Morrison.
Yeah, that's true.
we found his fire boxing opponent.
Yes. Please, everyone, go check out our video on Tommy Morrison. We're going to be doing part 2 on Friday. It is so much more interesting than we thought it was going to be. It's going to take a second episode.
And this and try to wrap your brain around this. The plan involved killing Jack and getting my dog and my cat. So I went into the bedroom. I took the gun out from underneath the pillow and he was at the computer. He turned right around and he saw me aiming at him and I was screaming at him. He was screaming at me. And I said, "You took my life. I'm going to take yours." The gun went off. I don't really know what the hell happened, but he grabbed me and he started hitting my head into the marble stone, whatever the heck the place was made of. Just kept hitting my head into it nonstop. I was in so much pain. I just collapsed. He picked me up, threw me in the extra bedroom, started smacking me really hard, beating me, and I just didn't think I was going to make it. I'm on the office floor. I pick up the phone. I call my girlfriend, and I called her, and she picks up the phone, and she's like, "What?" I go, "Jack's trying to kill me. I need you to call the embassy. Call Ed Carabella." I said, "Call him. I need to get out of the house. He's going to kill me." Jack grabbed the phone. He said, "The fuck did you call?" Blah, 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 and he's hitting me. He throws me into the bedroom. And he takes the Nublafena and he injects me with it. Not just 1 shot, 2 shots. I am out of it. The next day, as he said he wanted to play Rambo, so I'm petrified of mice. So he put a couple in a bag and put them over my head with the bag. And I fainted. And now...
So now he's just torturing her. He knows she's afraid of mice. He puts mice in a bag and puts the bag over her head. and is just torture because she tried to kill him because he fucking gave her AIDS.
Yeah, that I mean.
Oh, I got like bites on.
Sounds like they're working
Bag
it
of
out.
rats.
They need a good therapist.
My head stopped killing me, by the way, from having it slammed, and my eye was so messed up. So I was freaking out. So he took the cuffs off. He started being nice, and he said, just tell me who you're working with. I wasn't working with anybody.
Who you're working with. Tell me who you're working with.
Yeah. I imagine the Batman. Where is he?
Whoosh, exactly.
Or Marathon Man, like, is it safe?
Is it safe?
Is it safe?
Is it safe?
Again, the paranoia was kicking in. He was messed up, completely messed up. The Novophenia he was putting in me, he was putting 10 times in himself. Plus, he was doing coke. He was doing everything. He was drinking.
It's like
Not gonna lie, that's a prime face swap for John.
Drinking like there was no tomorrow. He was messed up. So this went on for a couple of days. Again, nobody's at the house. And then finally, so he comes up and he's like, there's 2 fucking bastards downstairs you've got to talk to. My friend got in touch with Ed Carabella and he called the Mexican embassy and he told them what was going on. And there was 2 guys to come.
Now, don't forget, Ed Carabella was the guy who was the camera operator when they were in Afghanistan.
Jesus.
To get me. They came to check the situation to see if I was there to get me out of the house. So I wanted to tell them, but he had his gun in his pocket. He goes, you say anything. He goes, I'm going to shoot you and them. He would have, definitely. One was translating, and he kept staring at me, and he kept asking me, he goes, you all right? I go, I'm fine. Everything's fine. We just had a fight. We're married. We fight. He goes, you really all right? And Jack's like, who the fuck reported this? Why are you here? So the guy goes, we're just here. We're just checking to make sure. He goes, I want to know who the fuck reported this. And so he's like, we were just making sure. Somebody said they heard an American woman screaming, which sounds reasonable because I was screaming. So as we start walking towards the door, the guy that wasn't speaking Spanish, that was speaking English to me, goes over to me, he goes, it's really good to meet you. And he put his hand out. When he put his hand out, I grabbed his hand and I took my fingernails and I stuck them in his hand. So we realized what was going on. So he held onto my hand for a minute. Jack goes, what the fuck's going on? And he just went like this. He squeezed them back like he knew I was in trouble and he was going to get me out. Okay. So they left. Jack made sure they were out. He was furious. And he kept asking me the same fucking questions. Who did I work for? Who sent me there? I kept saying, I don't know what you're talking about because I don't work for any of these people. I don't know these people. Yes, you do. You've been here to destroy me. No. Okay, you took my life. Yeah, I was going to kill you, but because you gave me HIV/AIDS. Not because of anything else. Not these people. I have nothing to do with these people. Yes, you do. And he just kept going and going and going. I just kept hoping that those guys would come back because I really thought that guy was going to come back. But it seemed like he wasn't going to come back. And then I heard a really familiar voice. He's like, plumber. He's like, can you go back to America? Jack said you go back to America. I'm like, no, I can't get out of here. And he's like, what do you mean? I go, I can't leave. He's going to kill me. So he knew what was going on. He goes, I got you out. So
a plumber sees her and offers her a way out and says he's gonna help her escape.
This went on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. He comes back and the door opens and he grabs me. He goes, let's go. I go, let me go get Tinka. He goes, no. I go, but Nina and Tinka, I came back for them. He goes, you gotta go, come on. He goes, I can't save you if you don't come.
Jesus.
I had to leave them. So we're running. His helpers are trying to distract Jack. And the plumber gets me in his car. He takes me into the middle of Bacalar. He said, go to the hotel. He goes, use a different name. He goes, you stay there. He goes, I'll call police. He goes, you call police. You call people in America. He goes, you got to get out of here. You can't stay here. He goes, I'll get you out. He goes, just let the police come. Go to the police. They took me to Chetamo. They questioned me, interrogated me. They asked me there was a whole language problem. If I would strip, and I did. I totally stripped. They took they took tons of pictures, everything. They said that was the only way they could press charges, and that's fine. They had to do that. And I pressed charges, and they put me under protective custody, and they said that they were going to take me Monday to the airport. They got me to the airport, and they told me really quick, go stay near the airport, just stay there, wait, exchange your money, get out, don't come back. You're going to be killed if you come back. I was so happy to be home in America, but then The next business day, it wasn't bad, but it was all over the Mexican news. So he was furious because they were getting ready to put him under house arrest, and he was over the top.
Jack Idema is back in the news. Noah Shachtman over at the indispensable Danger Room blog calls our attention to the fact that Jack Idema has resurfaced, apparently holed up in a house in Mexico. According to local news reports, local police in Mexico want very much police to talk to him about accusations that he held people in his house against their will.
So now they're making a joke about it, that this is what he got in trouble for in the first place, and now he's doing it again. Hilarious, right?
All the government agencies are after him. The FBI, the CIA, the HIV, they all want him.
the AIDS. Stewie Phil, thank you for the $2. Brendan Wayne, John's grandson, is a stuntman.
Huh.
I didn't know that. And, well, all right, we'll talk about it later, but interesting. Yeah, the AIDS.
I thought that was when the nightmare ended. It just began. The harassment, the stalking, the nonstop freaking calls, threats.
Who's this sound like?
The messages to my parents.
After Penny escaped, she couldn't afford her HIV medication. This was because Jack put credit cards in her name and ran up a lot of debt, which...
It wasn't enough to give her AIDS. He had to steal her credit, too.
Jesus Christ.
God, her credit score and her T cells.
Additionally,
sorry. I'm terrible. I'm sorry.
No, that was good. That was good.
Since she was the president of Isabeau, Dakota, the medication she needed was not covered. Therefore, Penny emailed Jack's lawyers, asking them to remove her name from the company and for her credit cards to be paid off. She gave them a deadline to fulfill her request. If not met, she threatened to dispose of corporate assets in order to satisfy her debts. In response, Jack wrote, "There is no more vindictive, treacherous bitch in the entire world beyond you." After the deadline passed, Penny sold the deed of the Isabeau, Dakota building for $10. In retaliation, Jack, along with loyal fans he met online, posted revenge porn of Penny to blogs, pictures which they also sent to her parents.
Oh, shit.
Jesus Christ.
How evil is this guy? How evil is this motherfucker? I gave you AIDS, but you just being such a cunt about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So steals her credit, sets up revenge porn websites, and then sends the pics to her parents.
Jack all started
about it.
these blogs about me being a whore, Penny's a whore, putting up pornographic pictures and everything else, and wound up that we started fighting in court over the Isabeau, Dakota building and my name on that stuff, and I wound up doing the right thing. I turned the building over to Harvest Ministries. I didn't get a cent. Harvest Ministries deserved it. They fixed it up. I wasn't going to let Jack and them take it from them. I wanted nothing to do it. I wanted to do the right thing, and I did. In 2012, I got a call. Well, I was talking to Jack honestly back and forth. It was just screaming and yelling, and it was like, I guess maybe he thought I would go back. I don't know, or what. I mean, by then it was just too messed up and everything was out, and we were in litigation. And finally, that was it until January of 2012. We talked, and I knew what was coming. He said he was sorry. He hopes I could forgive him, and I said, yeah, but I really can't. I don't know, whatever. And I said, I'll see you on the...
I'm sorry.
I promise I won't renew the domain.
I'm sorry that I ruined your life, gave you a lazy eye, I cut out the part where his beating gave her a lazy eye and a seizure disorder. He gave her HIV, ruined her credit, sent nude pictures to her family. Did I mention the AIDS?
Made a whole website. Did you see the website was pennyalici'sahore.com or something?
There were two.
The mice thing.
The mice thing. Yeah. Sorry. My bad.
Right.
Are the dog and cat okay? That's honestly all I care about. It's like, I hope they're fine.
So here's the thing.
Oh no.
I skipped that part.
Okay.
She like made like a commitment that she was not going to leave Mexico without the cat and the dog.
Right.
But the plumber said, if you go, he's going to find you. and she like starts breaking down, and she goes, "I had to leave them behind."
Right.
And so she tried, but she saved herself, and I don't know that anything bad happened to them, but she was trying to rescue them but couldn't. Yeah, it sucks. An animal story will get me like 100%. But
I'm just gonna imagine that they went to like Kansas with an awesome family, so I can sleep tonight.
There you go. Or maybe the families who, you know what I actually think might have actually happened is that all the people that made enemies with Jack, like took the dogs from him and gave them great homes, you know? But you know, whatever. But yeah,
the plumber eventually got them, and they lived with him.
Yes,
that's what I'm gonna say.
And
he kept his promise. He kept her promise.
Can you just fucking imagine being on the phone with just some guy who's just like, sorry. There you go, Stewie Felt. AIDS is not fast enough. No.
Right.
To some extent, though, I'm glad he suffered. Fuck this guy. Yeah. Fuck this guy. Don't forget the mice thing. Stop bringing up the AIDS already.
Yeah. I was about to say, there is no Hallmark card for putting rats in a bag on your face. Like, my bad. Like, that's not something you can do. Like, there's no mea culpa for that.
God. I mean, this guy's pure evil. Just pure fucking monstrous evil. Like, incomprehensible evil.
On the other side. And I said, I'll call you Friday night. And he said, well.
But how does he have this hold on this woman? Like, he has done every horrible thing to her other than kill her, and she's still, excuse me, Taco Bell.
He calls her Collect. That's what the last thing. That's just one more fuck you.
And she's still concerned about him. I mean, it's just so fucking amazing. She says like she still loves him, and
would you consider this brainwashing?
Probably.
I can't think of any other word. Yeah. But what's weird though is that like she seems to understand that she's crazy. Like she's like, I can't explain it. Like, yeah, I should hate him and I don't forgive him, but I cared about him. Like, fuck you. I have cut people out of my life for much less.
Oh my God.
I just,
like, I mean, maybe honestly, maybe even part of him from that especially that last beating, if she's getting seizures and shit, maybe that rocks something in her brain. You know what I mean? That it's.
Yeah.
I've stopped talking to broads for leaving me on red.
For his last act on this earth, he farted in a jar and mailed it to her
with postage due.
COD.
Happened, and I did try to call up, but the phone just kept ringing, and he was dead the next day. So
how did you feel?
Oh, he's
relieved.
dead.
It was over.
He died. AIDS.
Oh.
Sad. Relieved.
Off themselves or what? The way they were making it sound.
You still loved him at that time.
Up until then, now I hate him.
There's one last question I have for you, Penny.
Sure.
Now I hate him.
Right.
Can you tell me about the birthday video?
That birthday video, really, I wasn't there, and it was his birthday video, and it was the birthday before he died, and I wished I could have been there. But the reason why I like it, and it's so important to me, is because that's what I remember.
So, okay, now this is going to be the last scene of this documentary, all right, for what we're covering. What's interesting is that she is describing this scene as her most beloved moment with this guy.
Right.
She's saying that this is a moment that she really cherished and loved. Now, keep your eyes peeled. Something a little weird about this video.
For him to be happy, funny, laughing, Nina getting all excited. And he made that video for me because I couldn't be there. That was what I wanted. That was what...
There's a guy throwing a gun up in the air. that she loved him, and this is her happy place. There's a fucking guy holding a gun.
Classic Gringo Dave.
Right. Yeah, that Gringo Dave, he's just so
Gringo Dave's a party animal.
I know we had this terrible thing, but maybe if he had just told me, maybe we could have done something together. Maybe.
No, what she's talking about is the gay thing. She's saying if you would have just told me we could have worked something out, that wouldn't have prevented you from getting AIDS. You fucking idiot.
We could have had all that. That's the.
I do hate this woman to some extent. Like, she's obviously a victim, and I'm sorry, but Jesus Christ, she's fucking
you have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Jack, I want to remember.
Ancient Chinese.
All right. Now, I saved this to the end because I wasn't really sure if this was going to have any kind of high note.
Secret.
But here at Skeptical Robot, we have a very beloved character who is the destroyer of grifters. You know her as Anne Frank Dukes. There you go, Hamhead. You asked for the fart. Now, please enjoy the latest battle of the Destroyer of Grifters, Anne Frank Dukes versus Jack Idema. Cupcake, if you don't know Anne Frank Dukes, she is our mascot for Skeptical Robot. And she destroys the grifters.
Yeah,
she is
Anne Frank, she was a martial artist.
Jack Idema, call him king of charades. Marching in boots, but his stripes all fade. Carrying on his chest, but it's all from the ground. Fake metals gleaming his whole act the sham. Salutes in the mirror with the stories about battles he ain't ever chose. Uniform crisp, but the courage don't fit. Jack's war is fiction, his life's counterfeit. Jack Idema, soldier of lies, marching on dreams under borrowed skies. Truth's a grenade, it's about to explode. Caught in the crossfire of the truth he sold. PTSD, nah, Jack got excuses. Living on tales for fabricated uses. The dog tags earned just tags from the store. A hero in his mind, but his soul's at war. Parades in his head, he's the general now. Salutes to the mirror, taking a bow. But real soldiers know his mask is thin. Jack's battlefield is the light within. Drums of war beat.
AI killed the lyrics on that. I just put this in for prop for Jack Idema.
It really did. That was really good.
Yo, Anne Frank Dukes, this quick face down. Spinning like dreidels, never backing down. Hidden in the shadows where styles loud. Jewish warrior queen, make the people proud. Knuckles hit hard, tore skulls in her veins. Breaking every limit, shattering chains. Kick flipping, moves like a ghost, her legacy remains. Anne Frank Dukes, in the fight she stands. Defying the odds with her battle plans. From the struggle she rose, fire in her hands. A legend in the ring, no one understands. Training in the dark, candlelight glow. Each punch
Shout
a
out to
prayer,
Squared
each
Snake.
block
Come
a
up with the
flow.
name Anne
Her
Frank
stands
Dukes.
rooted deep where her people grow. Martial art mystic, the world gotta know. From silence to power, she claims her name. Every move she makes, rewriting the game. Enemies fall, consumed by a flame. History echoes, Anne Frank's afraid. Hidden but fierce, her legacy fights. A beacon of hope in the darkest nights. Every punch speaks, her story ignites. Anne Frank Dukes, symbol of rights. Knuckles hit hard, tore skulls in her veins, breaking every limit.
Oh yeah, and if we didn't mention, it's undefeated.
Moves like a ghost, her legacy remains.
There you go, Jack. That's what you get. Maybe a couple of extra. Hopefully she didn't get AIDS.
It's typical fashion. The intros are way longer than the actual match. Now that I think about it, the way she beat him was like revenge for what he did to his wife.
Yeah, and hopefully she didn't get any of his blood on her. And there you have it, folks. That is the story of the life of Jack Idema. And Frank Dukes had her way with him, destroyed him. She destroys the grifters. She is still undefeated. The Skeptical Robot Fighting Society champion, and Frank Dukes. This was a long one. That's right. Shimmy, 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 boy. We love the shimmy. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. Give me a sexy shimmy, Corndiff. Perfect. All right, folks. Thank you so much. So let me ask you guys, did I properly promote and sell that story?
Oh my God, it was fantastic. On the edge of my seat for the whole time.
That's a great one. It really was. And yeah, I've been wanting to do that for a while. And oh boy, I mean, just a crazy story. But we will let everyone get out of here. Please, Cupcake, plug anything you like. Thank you so much for being here.
Just my channel, Cupcake's Corner with American Cupcake, or you can just find me at American Cupcake on YouTube. And follow me on Twitter. It's at Box Truck Cupcake. And that's about it. Just do a show Sundays, Belly Bros. And Wednesday morning, it's Warp Speed with Cupcake and the Monster.
Awesome. I've been enjoying it, man. It's been really fun.
Thanks, man.
An extremely sexy cat did the intro for both of those shows.
Yes,
that's right. The thank you, Gummi Chainsaw, for doing the intro on both of those shows. I really appreciate it. And the thumbnails too. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate all your work, dude.
Those thumbnails are great. Those thumbnails are great. All right, and let's see here, Gummi. What would you like to promote, sir?
Hey, y'all. Just follow me on X, Gummi_Chainsaw. That's where you'll find that. I started the game last night and it was way too much fun, so I'm gonna shoot myself watching. It's a game called Silent Still, where it's just a simulator where you have your paralysis demon, so you're just laying in bed while these demons are taunting you, and that's all it is. And it's scared the fuck out of me. I want to shoot the whole thing. It's gonna be a pre-tape because I only have like 10 followers, so I can't go live. But yeah, I'm gonna shoot it sometime this week, and I'll probably put it up like Friday or Saturday. It's fun.
Awesome.
You'll hear me scream like a child.
We need to get some games in.
Definitely. I'm feeling fun, so I can definitely.
All right. Thank you so much. And for me, please check out Friday's episode of Skeptical Robot. We are going to be doing part 2 of Tommy Morrison. If you don't know the story, he's a boxer. And a very gray area when it comes to being a grifter. We don't know, but there's so much more to this story that we are going to be discussing. That's going to be with Spurg Snake. And tomorrow, we are going to be doing Unboxing Riley Martin on Hack Ride Studios channel at a new time, directly after Who Are These Socials, at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. Please check that out. And Sundays, Unboxing Eric on Hack Ride Studios channel. Now, we have a tradition here in which our show ends with Mr. Corndiff doing his plugs and providing us with a motivational quote. We have decided we're going to actually name that segment, and that segment is going to be called Kernels of Knowledge with Corndiff. please take it away, sir. Oh, and plug and your plugs.
YouTube at Corndiff. There's a bird feeder on the screen right now. Go check it out. But more importantly, it ends where it begins, and begins where it ends, and ends where it begins, and begins. Till next time.
That's right, it sucks.